What up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of GRIFTCAST IRL. Today, well, at least for this little point in time, I'm done doing a little bit of work because the parts didn't end up being there. So, Mr. Lift the Veil is going to be going live with his fabled Eliza Bleu space, the Eliza Bleu files, whatever it's going to be called. They're going to be going over it pretty hardcore today. I'm going to try to jump into there myself and, be a part of it or whatever. We'll just kind of have to see how this whole entire thing shakes out, rolls out. Thank you for everybody coming up over here. Figured I'd say what's up to the fam and what's going on. So first off, what's up to Miss Red Badger? Nice to see you. Welcome back. My homie wants me to watch Redacted. I dragged him here like a dammy. Well, whatever that means. We also got Coffee and Cocaine Show. Yeah, we got the Coffee and Cocaine Show shitting out. And then we got Richard Hughes. Apparently some old guy from the UK that's looking in for more information on the situation and story. And we're here to just obviously help you guys out since we're the only ones that seem to understand how to set this shit up. Woo! Woo is right. That's right. And then we also got our boy Harry just jumping into the mix. I see him. I see you, Harry. I'm watching you. I got you, bro. But that's okay. We're here. We're waiting. It should be started anytime now. We're just waiting for Nathan Lift the Veil to get this thing a-rolling. So I'll go ahead and throw the comments up. People seemed to like that yesterday. Being able to look at the comments. So we'll keep that together, at least for now. We'll keep it together, at least for now. And I actually found out that dude Mario or whatever, Mario Narfall, he actually was live streaming like this, I guess yesterday when he was doing his rant table show, and he actually was aware of me getting suspended. And, even though I did a thread on him, he was like, hey, man, it's not like you put anything bad on the thread or anything. You were just, trying to do journalism. So, yeah. I was just kind of like surprised that he actually mentioned it in his space or whatever. He was like, yeah, we got Manuel DeFango. He just got permanently suspended today. And they were talking about Twitter censorship. So I thought that was a bit strange. Yeah. So yeah, GRIFTCAST IRL is going to be coming at you live. Like I said, right now we're just waiting to see when the space actually gets popped up. It is 1:00 now. We'll have to figure out if that's going to work. And yeah, it was quick, Christina. Nice to see you. It was quick for us. We were supposed to go do a job, but as I was getting ready to go, they let me know that the parts aren't going to be there, so they were scheduling for tomorrow. So cool. That's cool for me. I mean, it's not, I just have to go to a casino and replace something. That's not that difficult. Just driving to the casino is all we really have to deal with. You don't like Mario Narfall? We call him Narfarius. Mario Nefarious. That's what I call him. Nefarious. But whatever. Hey, hello to the prerogative. We're getting ready to get this Twitter space thing going. And hopefully you guys are ready to join us on that one. I think it'll be an interesting time. I'm just trying to keep myself together on it and then just kind of watch what's going on. What's up to Mad Flavor? How you doing right there? Where can you find a copy of the Eliza Bleu thread? There's one right there. There's one right there. Oh, and then we got Sunrise 2020. I wanted to make sure Eliza didn't have any learning disabilities. It seems that she's very bad at lying. For an SA advocate to not know what trafficking is insane. Yeah, I agree with that, actually, Sunrise 2020. That's a funny way of putting it. And you're like, salt is away? What do you mean the salt is away? Salt is right here. It's still in the same spot. The camera is just zoomed in so you can't see it. That's all. Should I just do this like this from now on so you can only see my eyes? Yeah, this is like simple. This is like simple shit you could do or whatever that even nobody else seems to know how to do. And like my first thing is like, yo, if you're gonna try to be a streamer or whatever, y'all need to be streaming on Windows because Mac is garbage. And now, since this is GriftCast IRL and we need to make money, we're gonna insert an ad. Enjoy the ad. Enjoy. I don't even know what the ad is. Dude, this thing still hasn't started yet. Oh, what's up, Russell Dufresne? I see you out there in the chat. We're just patiently waiting for this space to start so we can jump in there and actually get it in there. 10 out of 10, best ad ever. What was the ad for? What was the ad for? I don't know what the ad was for, but yeah. How many Twitter followers did Defango have since 2020? Original Defango account had over 10,000. This last one had like 3,700 or something like that before it got nuked, which is pretty good. We haven't made it that far in a long time, actually. Usually we get to about 1,000 and then we get nuked. So, we did pretty good. I think we did pretty good. I think we did it pretty good. Skitty Squirrel. Free Michael. Whatever happened to Dave? Dave who? Dave Acton? I don't know. I thought he died. I thought he like fell down Mount Shasta or whatever and then like got frozen into an ice block or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. And I don't know who Michael is. But you should be saying free to Fango. That's what you should be saying. Because I don't know who the fuck Michael is. I don't know who the fuck Michael is or whatever. And what do you mean it's Dave, man? Dude, Dave Acton isn't alive anymore. Last thing I heard, he fell down Mount Shasta, bro. And then he it was like snowy and then he got turned into an ice block or whatever. That's what I heard. That was the word on the street that I heard. It's kind of like when people ask me about Glenn and they're like, hey, what happened to Glenn Herman? And I'm like, Glenn Herman? I thought he shot himself in the dick. Thought he shot his dick off. That's what I thought. Oh, it's a Cheech and Chong joke. I'm Dave, man. Who's Dave, man? I'm Dave. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you had 20K on YouTube at one point. Yeah, I did at one point. Not anymore. Now we're starting back from the very beginning. Yeah. What's this right here? Somebody just sent us a message from Kanye West. What? A message from Kanye West. Shifting over now to the Kanye message. It's like a Discord thing. Image 0. There we go. Am I the only one that thinks that Elon could be half Chinese? Have you seen his pics as a child? Take the Chinese Jesus and mate them with the South African supermodel, and we have Elon. I say this because they probably made 10 to 30 Elons, and he's the first genetic hybrid that stuck well. Let's not forget about Obama. I'm sorry for using curse words in church, but I don't have another word for Obama yet. Ye 24, unify, and let's find out. What? Kanye West? What the fuck are you talking about, Kanye West? Are you kidding me right now, Kanye West? Like what? What? Yes, this is a real message from Yee's Instagram. Maybe it's just an old tweet or whatever. I don't know, but seems strange. That shit seems strange. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Nathan's Twitter files or whatever, but that shit's not even started, or maybe he started on a different one. I don't know. Looks like it's online. I had the reminder set, but Yeah, that's weird. This is weird, actually. I figured he would have been live already, but I don't see it. Holy shit! GriftCast just got a grift. We got a grifty from Grifty. Whoa, $5 from Super Chat. Love you, brother. Miss you out there in the trenches. Free to Fango. Yeah, free him to Fango for sure. Free to Fango, but in the meantime, just send him money. Yeah, it says Eliza Twitter files. He's got the little circle around his shit like he's supposed to be on, but it's not working. Nathan! Nathan! The fuck? You had one job, Nathan. You had one job. We're going to star that message too because he gave us some money, so we're going to keep Grifty on our thing. I did click on his avatar. It's just popping up to this.
And anybody from Timcast could
There
come
we
on
go.
to talk about it too. You know, if they're
There we
avoiding
go.
us. I had originally titled this Eliza, Bleu, and Timcast because, you know, that's definitely a conversation. Timcast got the interview, and we can talk about why we think they got the interview over anybody else. And we can talk about what we expect the interview to be about, you know, whether he's really going to ask tough questions. And so, you know, in as much as we can't change what the interview was, I guess it already happened. It was happening while all this drama was going on, while everybody was talking about it. Um, this this interview was supposedly happening at the same time, and for some reason, Tim Pool was just ignoring the subject and not talking about the issue. And they still, as far as I know, haven't really talked about how bad it is that Twitter censored people. You know, I mean, the main thing that people are upset about is that Twitter Twitter censored people for no good reason or for a really bad reason. So he should have been talking about it, and now he's taking credit for, you know, getting the exclusive interview. But then again, I don't want to just attack people, so that's why I took his name out of the title, just so it wasn't like we're trying to go after Tim Pool. You know, if anything, we're mostly on the same side of everything. It's just, you know, this particular thing, I think people want to make sure it's handled correctly, and so people wonder if Shane is the right person to handle it and if he's going to ask the tough questions, which are basically, you know, it's pretty simple. She said, regardless of the rest of her story, if we just disregard all the controversial stuff, she said the video that Brittany Venti shared. She shared the clip of that video. That video ended up getting censored. It got censored from YouTube. All these accounts got taken down for sharing a screenshot of the video. The question is that Shane would have to ask is, was that video done without your consent? Or is your contention that you were being trafficked in that video, and that's the reason that people were censored, and that's the reason it got taken down off YouTube, because you say you did it literally without your consent? And then to follow up on that, if you really did do it without your consent, then why did you say X, Y, and Z? Why did you say that you were happy to do it? Why did you brag about it so much if you really were unhappy about it? So, and I don't know. I'm hearing different reports. I don't know. I don't know Shane at all. I don't know any of his. As far as I know, I've never read anything he's written. So I have no comment on what I think his article is going to be like, because I literally have no idea. It could be that he asks all the tough questions. Could be he goes a direction that people aren't expecting. So, and I guess we're all looking forward to the publication of that article, which I don't know when we should expect it. I'm not sure exactly when it's supposed to come out, based on the things they've said. So, and then besides all that, Eliza Bleu had a bunch of tweets last night, which we could definitely analyze. First, she got into this thing where she says, "Well, I was afraid to say it before, but I love Jesus. I love Jesus, and Jesus loves me. I didn't want to say anything before, but now I want to say that." So she threw that in there. She said she's going to collaborate with Ye, which even Cassandra was totally stunned by. So she put out this one tweet that said, "Oh, just wait for my collaboration with Ye." And I thought, "Oh, okay. I don't know if she's just dreaming that that's what's going to happen or what." So, and Cassandra was like, "Are you for real?" And so some people are speculating she might be having some kind of a meltdown, that those tweets didn't make sense. So anyway, I see, hey, Tony Baloney, do you have your voice changer on today, Tony Baloney? I don't want to get us in any trouble. Are you broadcasting this on YouTube right now?
Yes.
All right. Hey, what's up?
Not much. I figured I would just pop in and see how things were going. It's obvious that there's going to be a lot more updates in the coming weeks now that Timcast or Tim Pool and the gang are actually going to be into this. I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how they move forward with it, because I'm not really expecting a big knockdown, drag out interview in any way, shape, or form. I have looked at some of Shane Cashman's work in the past, and people do say that he does great work, but it seems like, they're way too wrapped up into this to let it go by the wayside. And I mean, it's pretty clear that they're probably just going to be focusing on doing the story more about the censorship than anything else.
Well, okay, so let's say they do the story about the censorship. So that and that's the how do you avoid the issue of whether she's lying about being trafficked? Like, how do you avoid that issue and still talk about the censorship? I mean, I guess that's the thing, right? The censorship is over a video, which we assume she's claiming as non-consensual, even though there's evidence that suggests that it was completely consensual. So how do you think they avoid that topic? Like, how could they get away with it?
I don't think that they're going to try to avoid the topic. I think that basically she's been working with them for a while now, so they're more than aware of the story. So the way I see it is that it's probably going to be more of a coaching style situation where they're going to be coaching her kind of through the story so that they can get something congruent out of that. They'll talk about it probably very up as little as possible and probably try to focus on the rest of it, because I mean, for them that's not going to be something that they want to really like dig deep into. And seeing how other articles have already been taken down, like the Red State one, it looks like this particular story is going to have a lot more oomph in the coming weeks than I even thought was possible.
So let me play this video because I haven't even heard it yet. This is all over my timeline today. So it was posted by Bleu, who's here. So hey, Bleu, what's up? Hey, Greg, I see you now. And let me play it so I can hear it actually, and then we'll see. Then we can talk about it.
Certainly acknowledge that there are many people who are 13, 14, 15 that have sex with an adult and then feel as if they were taken advantage of too. Oh, 100%.
Okay, so let's focus on the work. Okay, so let's pretend like we all have our like utopia. So if I could answer this in utopia, right? In my like perfect in cap utopia. Each community and each caregiver, parent, and community, including teachers, potential faith leaders, and neighbors will decide if the child is ready to consent and look at the child's behavior. Do they have a job? How is their education going? Are they cognitively available to have sex with this individual? And then also look at the history of the individual as well. So does this individual have a history of abuse? And then you go from there.
Certainly acknowledge that there are many.
The child is ready to consent, and potential faith leaders and neighbors will decide if the child is ready to consent, and community, including teachers, potential faith.
Well, I played it a few times so you guys could hear it. So she just said that the community and faith leaders will decide if the child is ready to consent. So that's it reminds me a little bit of what happened to Milo Yiannopoulos. I didn't realize that the reason Milo Yiannopoulos totally got canceled, I guess, was because of what he said about having underage sex and how sometimes it was appropriate, right? So I know from that history that saying something like this, or what we just heard, is can be devastating. So this is just another. This is another. Well, this is all part of the Eliza files. So the Eliza Bleu files. So here's what we're getting. What do you guys think of that?
Can I speak very quickly?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so this is Lawrence. One thing that I just found out just now was because I've been following this guy named Matt Skidmore who used to campaign for Andrew Yang, who is actually her ex-boyfriend. And for the last few days, I feel like he was kind of still going on her side of the story, but now he flipped. He basically said that if you go to his Twitter, and I sent this to Greg, who is also in the chat right now. He said that he's tired of his ex-girlfriend playing victim, and he also said something in regards to Cassandra McDonald's tweet an hour ago, where he's basically saying, for fuck's sake, people are simply asking you to cover a story about a random woman using her inside connections with the world's richest man to get users banned off the public town square for linking to public and consensual photos of said individual. Maybe you should take it more seriously. And again, Matt Skidmore is documented to be her ex-boyfriend, so if this is not any clear, direct evidence that she faked her victimhood, I don't know what is. This is basically testimonial from an ex-boyfriend who's a public figure that she's playing victim. She said,
Okay.
"I'm tired of my ex playing victim."
You're talking about Matt Skidmore, right? Or Matthew Skidmore, the guy that was like 19 years old.
Yes. That's all I want. I want to flag that, and I sent that those same screenshots to Greg. That's all I want to say.
Is this person, just so I have this information, is this on Twitter, did you say?
Yeah.
This Matthew
I sent
Skidmore?
it to you too. I sent it to you too. If you can check your.
You messaged it to me? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Tony Baloney here has a better grasp of who he is in terms of and maybe Greg even, because Greg has kind of studied the timeline of who Matt Skidmore is.
Okay.
Thank
cool.
you.
Thanks for that.
I just want to
Appreciate
flag
it.
that information because I think that is direct evidence that she is playing victim.
Okay, great. Thanks. Let me find it. I got your message, so I will. Let me see if I can see. Go ahead.
Because that's an important one right there, because we found him through people that were sending us information on her Yang Gang exploits, and some stuff was posted on 4chan that basically brought us to that Skidmore character, because he was He was the one that actually had interactions with her in the past, and there was like a couple of interactions on Twitter that people were pointing out for something called the San Francisco Secret, and according to him, that refers to a meeting that she had, Eliza Bleu, with Jack Dorsey at Twitter. So he seems to be pretty in the know about this. Like, I was trying to talk to him and get more information, but he wasn't really like being forward with it until just like maybe a day or so ago. So like there's probably a lot more there to look into, maybe even trying to invite him onto a space to talk about it, because he's probably got some pretty good information on how she actually got onto Twitter this last time, and like what she was like when she saw him getting all kinds of donations and stuff on Twitch during the Yang Gang days.
Yes, and I quote, he said, and Matt says this now in one of his recent tweets, quote unquote, I created a monster.
Yeah, I'm looking at his profile now. Let's see if his DMs are open. So I
Yes, he
will.
opened it. It wasn't open actually last time because I actually wanted to like communicate to him directly and ask, hey, you know what? It surfaced that you had this relationship with Eliza before, and there were tweets still that are still on his account defending her because apparently there were people harassing them as a couple and stuff like that. So now he's flipping the script and saying that he created this monster. So probably one of the things that you guys have to investigate is when did she learn about the script, the literal script of becoming a human trafficking victim? Because as Tony Baloney said, there was a 4chan thread basically saying that this all started during the Yang campaign. She met somebody who was on the ground, was actually a trafficking victim, and she kind of quote unquote borrowed or stolen her story and made it her own, and she became a victim herself. So I mean, she portrayed herself as a victim. So with Matt stating categorically that A, I created a monster, B, that my ex-girlfriend is playing victim. Those are two big statements. Um, Coming from
Right.
somebody who has direct relationship and intimacy with this woman
Okay,
that none
got
of us
it.
have.
Not well, you haven't, but I don't know about none of us, but I haven't. You're right. So, but we don't know exactly who she has been with. We don't know about her and Elon Musk yet either. So, but cool. I really
If
appreciate that.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to briefly interject. I'm so sorry, Nathan, for interrupting.
That's okay, Greg.
uh,
Don't worry about it, man.
yeah. So like a lot of the stuff that she alleges transpired in the late '90s, like in that 97, 98, 99 timeline, that's going to prove to be very difficult to either substantiate her version of events transpired, and it's going to be difficult to refute because those people are becoming very difficult to track down. Because at least like how much internet celebrity she had in the mid 2000s, that's a little bit easier because she really put herself on Front Street once MySpace was really kicking off. And insofar as the gentleman who was speaking earlier, and yes, I did see your messages. I've been responding to you. If obviously you noticed, where she picked up the story, it's not hard to pick up a story, especially when you're sharing details as vague as she is. I mean, I'm not like the world's smartest person, but if nobody knew who I was, as of today, I could conjure a similar story and share extremely vague details of like being a survivor of X, Y, and Z. And maybe this is just my, experience in prison, because for those that don't know, I spent 5 years in prison in my early 20s. Uh, People are really good at lying if they want to be a good liar, if that makes sense. And people are really good at formulating stories and so on and so forth. And it's very prevalent in prison, especially if like people are rats or snitches. They're really good at formulating a story to cover their tracks or to create a new persona that they want to present to people. So I'm not particularly curious as to how she gained the ability to present this story if it is legitimately 100% false with regard to her alleged trafficking, being a trafficking victim, because it's not a hard story to present because of just how vague and how general she presents the story.
I agree with you.
Yeah, she didn't really provide any details that I'm aware of yet of what supposedly happened to her. Although people say she said she was trafficked by somebody famous, right? Like a basketball player or a music star, something
It
like
did.
that.
like she said.
Yeah, it just depends which version of events you hear. There was the famous musician. In the 90s, it was purportedly some photographer she met at the 98 Vans Warp Tour. Um, at one point, she allegedly was handed off to some older gentleman in the Hollywood Hills. Then she was with pimps in Chicago. So there are these myriad of mysterious characters of very vague titles associated with them. And I understand, maybe people not divulging too much of trauma aspects. I can kind of get that. I can kind of understand that. Uh, but there's just so much vagueness to her story because, when she gets really pressed on specific dates, even a month and a year when something transpired, if something is genuinely traumatic, because I know about dealing with traumatic incidents, like if someone were to ask me, what was the month and year you got arrested, or what was the day you got out of prison? You know what I mean? Significant events, they leave an impression, and you do remember. You may not remember all the details, but you do generally remember when something significant happens.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, and so she was asked. The Katie Herzog interview is the one that's the most kind of revealing. It's like Katie Herzog obviously is a feminist, is going to be sympathetic to a woman having a story about some kind of abuse. She just started to ask her about it, and Eliza Bleu lost it. Just wasn't willing to talk about it, and it kind of, I don't know. I mean, sure, it's uncomfortable talking about traumatic things, so you can understand that a little bit. But it was certainly, it was like an overreaction for somebody who would otherwise be very sympathetic. You think you're talking to another woman, like it's not. She wasn't asking the question in a confrontational way. But still, the way Eliza reacted was as if she had just, as if she shot her dog or something, and it was suspicious. It was suspect. So I'll get to a few people whose hands are up. Hey, go ahead, Lucky.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to really comment about the Liberty Lockdown interview that you played a few minutes ago. Being somebody that has dealt with sexual assault, in my life as a young person, as an adult, and then also being a mom to a 19-year-old, I cannot imagine taking my daughter's putting her up out to the community to say, oh, do you think that she can consent to sexual activity as a young person? Like that is absolutely insane. Like you're talking about neighbors, parents, faith leaders, and teachers. Who are the people that are near our children the most, that actually abuse children the most? It's the people that usually they know. It's somebody, it's the uncle, it's somebody that they know, and you're going to put that in the hands of other people, whether or not your child is mature enough. I think that's absolutely asinine and insane. That is not, like, that is just that blew my mind absolutely when I heard her say that. And being somebody that has, what I mean, dealt with things in the past and being abused and everything else, I'm completely blown away by the fact that she would even say that. It, to me, it sounds almost like the cult stuff, like the FLDS cults, and like being, underage children being married off, like that. That's just, that really really hit a nerve with me, and I just really wanted to, to add that to it.
Cool, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's good for us to get a feeling here. I like to see how things are developing, what the narratives are. And this particular one, like I said, I know because of what happened to Milo, that saying something that implies children can consent to sex and that it's not always bad or whatever is not something that goes over well with people. So
to protect their child.
Yeah.
You know,
So
does everyone even know their neighbor? You're going to take your neighbor and say, "Oh, what do you think if can my child consent to this?" Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. That is absolutely just off the rails.
It really is. Go ahead, Pink.
Can we just call a spade already? Like, literally, like, I'm just trying to be nice about it, but can we just say she was a prostitute and she, like, wanted to sound, like, edgier, so she said she was a sex trafficking victim? And so, like, I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything, but I went through the Johnny Depp trial, like, for six fucking years. To me, it seemed like Johnny Depp trial thing was going on, even though it only started in May. It just felt like it was going on forever with the lie, so like it's like, let's just call it a spade. The spade is spade. She was a prostitute. She wanted to sound edgy. She wanted to back on everything. She has a self-identity crisis disorder or something like that. She can't figure out who the hell she wants to be for the day. And let's just call it as that. It's just, she's trying to fit in horribly and it's not succeeding. She's not succeeding at it.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate the feeling behind it. Now, as a fact checker, I would just say, what evidence do we have that she was a prostitute? And you can tell me, because somebody came on yesterday and said, oh, she said it, but I don't think she ever said it. She said something about survival sex. But if we're going to say she was a prostitute, because we don't have to say that for her to be a bad person. And as a matter of fact, nothing wrong with, the sex work, whatever. I don't have a problem with it, at least, as long as it's consensual. But anyway, what evidence do you have, Pink? If you want to say.
To me, it's the whole fact of the matter is with not the video vixen thing, kind of like gives off that vibe to me that she could have been a prostitute because she was willing to sell herself off into the music videos and show off her body that way. So like, why not? It's just a theory in my head technically, but it could be true. But the music videos say a lot, and stuff, and like it just shows that she was super comfortable to expose herself that way, then why not? It could be a possibility.
Yeah, I want to say, I appreciate, what you're saying, and people have all kinds of feelings about her and what she's done. As far as we know, we don't know that she's confessed to having had sex for money or anything, although she did say that thing about survival sex and then didn't want to get into it. Like I said, if she did, if she did that and then claimed that it was abuse and she did it consensually, then obviously, she isn't a survivor of abuse. So anyway, I appreciate it. Let's say we don't know if she was or not. She said something that kind of indicated maybe, and she still did some other stuff that we can definitely pin her on.
But she still has some kind of identity crisis situation going on because she doesn't even know how to figure out what name she wants to be for the day. Let's just put it that way too.
Well, yeah, she does have a lot of aliases. So, all right, AC Skill, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan, for continuing to let me speak in these spaces. I'm a veritable no one on the internet, just trying to bring this to light. I wanted to throw it back to the audio clip that you played earlier, and it sounds to me that she said those things because she allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly very carefully, it seems that she has a history of that herself. in the past, I know Grifty's in here. He has an amazing thread pinned to his profile that, and this was the first person that I saw connect any of these dots, that she allegedly may have groomed an underage minor in her past when she was in her 30s. And I just wanted to uh, give Grifty a shout out for that, because he was literally the first person I ever saw connect any of those dots.
Yeah, we have a story about her, just to be clear, so people are caught up. Grifty has a story of her. There's a underage 17-year-old Asperger's kid whose dad had serious connections to get to concerts and stuff, right? So she somehow made friends with this boy, and it so much so that she sent public messages on Instagram saying that she loved him. Is that right, Grifty? Am I getting this right? Yeah. Okay. So she sent him messages saying, I love you, so she was love bombing this underage person. And it seems like the same, she has that's why the Amber Heard comparisons are so good, because Amber Heard, you can tell she gets with famous people, she goes for people who are influential. And it's just exactly the same with this Eliza Bleu person. She goes after and targets influential men mostly, and then uses their influence for her own benefit, basically. So this other story of her, who knows if she had sex with the kid or anything, or even if she did, I mean, he was 17, and in a lot of places that would actually be considered consensual. So I don't know. But anyway, go ahead, AC.
Well, if you go onto Grifty's profile, like I said, he has the entire thread pinned on his profile. In one of the Instagram posts, and people can draw inferences how they will from this, but he said something along the lines of, this is a loose quote, "a magical night with Eliza," but some people can draw inferences from that how they will. I know how I take that. But also, I wanted to draw attention to something else concerning Grifty. Earlier, I see Frank Pellegrino. He's in here. He's Chrissy Mayer's fiance. He made a post um, about Grifty's thread loosely, kind of, but I saw it on there, and I wanted to give Grifty another shout out for that, because that's an amazing piece of reporting right there. But when I went to tag him to give him a shout out for that, even though we follow each other, he didn't autofill in my suggestions, and I thought that was really, really weird. And so I went into the Twitter search, and it took me 3 times to even find his handle, even though we both follow each other. So I'm speculating maybe that his account is being deboosted in search and autofill.
Are you talking about Grifty? This happened to you? Because, okay, so
Grifty, yeah, not me, Grifty.
Yeah, I can comment on this. Also, almost everyone I've been trying to tag and message, like actually my co-host Greg, like he didn't come up at all in search. When I tried to get Chrissy Mayer, she didn't come up right away, even though we follow each other. I went and checked to see if there was a search ban, and it said technically there wasn't a search ban, but I've been noticing people I've been trying to reach that where we follow each other, where it's their names aren't populating right. So and I was search banned, but I guess I'm not right now. So because nobody's told me that I am recently, but anyway. And then the other thing, actually, the other narrative, I tweeted something that's kind of a popular tweet for me. I just said cancel Twitter Blue, and it's spelled BLEU. And I think there is obviously like a movement of people who want to cancel, who signed up for Twitter Blue to support Elon Musk and to support the platform, and now are upset and are canceling because of what's going on with this Eliza Bleu situation. And is in as much as like, if that were a thing, I mean, I would, if it was a thing and people could put it together, you would want to say to Elon Musk, look, I would resubscribe, and I will commit to resubscribing, when Defango is back on the platform, when Brittany Venti is allowed to come back on, and after, Twitter issues some kind of apology or something, for inappropriately censoring people, then I'd happily sign back up again. So, if people wanted to tell Elon Musk that, I mean, that we're all going to cancel unless he fixes the problem, I mean, I know it's cancel culture, but
just to touch on one last point before I pass the mic off to someone else, because I know all of our times are really valuable. Like, my account is very, very small, and I was really heavily considering getting Twitter Blue and supporting Elon when he took over because of his promises of putting free speech and free expression, like more centered in the conversation on Twitter. And I have to say that even for an account as small as mine, like, this entire situation has completely jaded me on Twitter Blue at all. Like, I will not be getting it until that old sailor quote, until morale improves. Thank you.
yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed the sentiment is that a lot of people involved in this situation who care about this situation are talking about not paying for Twitter Blue anymore. And I had already decided not to sign up again. I just didn't know. I just didn't know what I was getting out of it. But I will if they fix this problem, just because, it would be cool if they come out and just say, okay, we fucked up. And, I always appreciate if people do that, but I don't know where this is going to go still with Elon Musk, whether Elon Musk knows about it. You have to assume he does. But it has been trending on the platform for the last 2 days. But we'll see what he ends up saying. Go ahead, Grifty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just got a new headphone set up, so I wanted to make sure it was working.
It seems
I
like
just wanted
things
to
are
hop
going
on
pretty
real quick
well
to
so
say
far
this.
in the spaces. Make sure you guys hit that like button and
what Pink was
subscribe,
saying earlier
and pay
about
me lots
the
and lots
allegations
and
about
lots
her
of
being a
money for doing
prostitute,
all of this
that
work for
all
you for free.
stems from
You
the
can hit us in
podcast
that
she did with
PayPal,
Annie
or
Lobert
hit
from
us in the
Hookers for
Cash App
Jesus,
at
where Annie's
GRIFTCAST.
talking about
Yeah, that's fucking for real. I'm
how
not even
I didn't used to
joking.
call
That's how
myself
funny
a
I am.
sex
But
trafficking
I didn't want to
victim.
make
We
another
used to
PayPal, so
say
if you can just hit me in the
I was a
PayPal
prostitute and I had a
that'd be
pimp,
fantastic, or
and
whatever you
this and
else want
that.
to
And
say.
when Eliza
But this is
responds,
called
she
GRIFTCAST, so we
uses
definitely
we.
accept them
So she
super
uses
chats
that
or whatever. We
inclusive
like to
pronoun.
prominently
So
display all
it's
of our
not
high-paying
just talking. And
subscribers
she's like, we
prominently,
didn't have
like
a
this
word for
one
it
from
back then.
Grifty
We
for
didn't know what to
$5 saying,
call it,
"Love
but
you,
now
brother."
we
Make
do.
sure you guys join in
So
on the
that's
fun.
where
Anyways,
that's where that's coming from. And my personal theory, because that's one of the earliest podcasts I've seen of Eliza, was with Annie. And in my opinion, like she says in that video that Annie's one of her heroes and this and that. I think a lot of her grift came from seeing Annie's success, because Annie does run a great organization, Hookers for Jesus, Destiny House. It's a legit organization to help sex trafficking victims, and I think that's maybe where she got the idea.
You're saying she got the idea to say that she was a victim from this group?
Yeah, because I think maybe she knew Annie. The way she says "we," the way I'm putting it together in my head, pure speculation. But she says "we" when Annie's talking about being a prostitute. So I think she maybe was a prostitute, and maybe they knew each other, which is how she ended up on Annie's podcast so early. And I think she saw Annie get out of the life, and it might have been for genuine reasons. Like, I can't read this woman's mind, so I don't know what her motivations were. I don't know, but it's. I'm thinking maybe she saw Annie get out of the life, have some success, be able to do some, relative success online and starting organizations, and I think that just gave her path out of the life.
Right. Well, this gets to what some people are saying, which is that she is changing the meaning of the word victim or survivor in some way. And some people are comparing it to the Andrew Tate stuff, which I don't know if is appropriate, but I understand some people do think is appropriate to compare, saying that she is trying to turn regret into abuse, right? She's trying to say that because she did some things that now looking back, she feels like she was taken advantage of or whatever, whereas at the time she was totally happy to do it. Now she's a survivor of abuse, and some people are concerned that like the meaning of survivor is changing because of what Eliza is doing to it. So, hey, Francis, go ahead.
So, as far as Eliza Bleu goes, I feel like in maybe a month or two, we might not even be talking about her. At least not in the scale we are now. The issue for me is what the hell went on with Twitter, went on with Ella Irwin.
Mute that up real quick. Got to come in. Say we just got another super chat over at the GRIFTCAST from Miss Red Badger. $5 says, free Sir Manny of the puzzles. Free DeFango. Thank you for your generous patronage to GRIFTCAST IRL. We appreciate all of your money and we'll definitely use it to pay all of our bills because we are totally a grifter. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now back to the show.
Why is he not doing anything? What is going on in the big picture? I'm even hearing that Eliza has ties with attorneys that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein. That was a Robert Barnes exclusive, I guess, from last night. So there's a bigger picture here that we're not getting. And Eliza Bleu, to me, is going to be, I don't want to say dead. I mean, whatever. I don't wish anything bad upon her, but there's a bigger picture here.
Yeah. So what were you saying that Barnes talking about Eliza, or what were you saying he said last night?
Basically saying he's saying there is evidence she's basically involved with lawyers that were also involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, okay. Is it Perkins Coy or?
See, I wish I was a little more prepared with that tidbit, but
okay, that's cool. That's interesting to know. So yeah, we know. Yeah, Viva Frey came in here. He's interested in this topic. When he came in, he said that he's not interested in Eliza Bleu's past at all, and just wants to focus on the censorship issue, which I
could shitballs. We got ourselves another big spender, Mr. Richard Hughes. Richard Hughes, and yes, this is live, folks. This is live, but thank you to Richard Hughes. He didn't give us any message, but he sent us some of them great British pounds or whatever. And yes, sir, we will take your British funny money any way, shape, or form. This is GRIFTCAST. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Event with Rose McGowan is that when all this started happening, because I just started hearing about this recently, and I'm just wondering, did it start jumping off like right after that like recorded space?
What are you talking about specifically? What jumped off? Sorry.
Like the questioning of her integrity and her story and all this stuff, because because I know that she hosted a space with Rose McGowan like right around the time of I believe after Johnny Depp's verdict, and this is how I can only think about these things because I'm like, timeline wise, and so I'm just wondering if she was the next one to get me, because I know we got a lot of shit going on with like abuse victims and all this stuff, but hey, it's just it was just I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yeah, if you're talking about the timeline of why people started to question Eliza Bleu, then I think I was following it pretty closely. She had her rise which was, we think, mostly on the back of Elon Musk. That it was that it was after Elon Musk started, replying to her or retweeting her or whatever he did, that she started to gain a lot of followers and then a lot of influence. And then DeFango wrote a thread. I mean, an open secret. Gabe Hoffman, who I invited to this space, had some stuff that they put out about Eliza a while ago, I think, maybe even in 2022 or a while ago. And then DeFango made his thread. And that thread ended up getting a lot of traction. And his thread, DeFango's original thread, mostly called into question the timeline, a lot of like the timeline of her abuse. I mean, the thing that stuck out to me about his thread was that she was not telling the truth about her age, basically. So at the time that she was supposedly being trafficked and when she moved to LA, and DeFango had some background. He's been a live streamer since like 1995, basically. So he's been around, he knew her from before and he kind of had some insight. So that thread gained some popularity. But then really it was it was because Brittany Venti decided to screenshot a video, which was publicly available, which we now know that with like 99.9% certainty that Eliza Bleu consented to being in the video. And it was the fact that Brittany Venti got censored. That's the reason this whole thing blew up. It's literally like the definition of the Streisand effect. And somebody asked about what the Streisand effect was. And I heard somebody say somebody had like an aerial photo of Barbara Streisand's house published on some obscure website. And Barbara Streisand decided to sue him to take down the picture. And then everybody found out about the picture. It's sort of the same thing. Like what Brittany did, honestly, could have ended up reflecting bad on Brittany Venti. I mean, people might have like gone after Brittany Venti for slut shaming or what have you, or saying she's a jealous bitch or something. I mean, that would have been the way to react to it, where this wouldn't have developed into anything, in my opinion, would have developed into anything bigger. People would have still had some questions about Eliza, but nobody would really care. It would be kind of internet drama that people want to avoid. But it was the fact that she censored Brittany Venti and then the rest of the censorship after that made it turn into a huge thing. So, I mean, that's, as far as I can tell, the official version of how things happen. I don't know if there are conspiracy theories for, how this ended up being a big story, but that's as far as near as I can tell officially how.
And then I have another question. I heard she has ties to politics. What does her father do? What kind of position in politics does he have?
Greg might know this one because he's up to all the facts.
Yeah, no. Her father, Richard Morthland. There's a lot of misinformation floating around about him. People are saying like he's a governor or something like that. No, as far as I know, he is a legislator in his state, legislator in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Relatively, just kind of run-of-the-mill state legislator. Nobody too big, but, he's probably got okayish following in his respective state. Prior to that, like in the early 2010s or what have you, he was a city council member. But, he is absolutely a state congressman. And even in his congressional bio, he notes his two daughters, one being Eliza, and I can't remember what the other, her sister's name is. I don't know if it's like Beth or something like that. But no, she absolutely does have a father in politics. And she somewhat addressed that, but she only addressed the claims that her father was a governor. So what Eliza did to get ahead of that, to get ahead of those talks about her dad being in politics, she addressed the governor misinformation in a series of tweets saying, my father's not a governor, nobody in my family's been a governor, so on and so forth. So she can kind of fall back on that because of a lot of the rhetoric is just people spouting elected positions with respect to her father, without necessarily taking a closer look to see what he actually does.
Right. And somebody sent me a background report on Eliza Bleu, and says there's some indication that Morthland is her last name. There's some indication that their family owns a lot of land, maybe 500 acres or something. And then I also have a report of her marriage to Ben Seep, I guess I could look into. So, what else was I going to say? I can go ahead, AC Skill.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up another topic really quick. This Shane Cashman character from Timcast News. If you go back on his, and there's screenshots floating around Twitter. I've got them myself. I could post them in the space if you'd like. This is another person that Eliza cozied up to on her rise to fame. Like she had nothing. She sang nothing but Shane's praises in one of her appearances in her most recent appearance on Timcast. IRL. Same goes for Tim's producer Cassandra McDonald. She is another person that Eliza cozied up to on her rise to fame, and her reasoning for befriending Cassandra is, without going into too many details about it because I don't know them. Cassandra she put out there that there was a time in the recent past where Eliza, quote unquote, had her back during that time, and then so that she's gonna have her back through all of this. And so I just wanted to make people aware that perhaps Shane Cashman isn't the person most suitable to do a deep dive on Eliza because he has close personal connections with her.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically everybody's got to wonder why she chose Timcast to do the interview, and whether she would agree to do an interview where anybody asked her any tough questions, because in the past she's not agreed to do videos or interviews where people were going to ask her tough questions. So that's well, we'll see.
It's
I don't think.
for sure. It's a concern, really.
Yeah, we'll see. It is a concern. We want to make sure that if somebody is going to cover it, that they're going to ask her the tough questions. And the fact that she has such a cozy relationship with Timcast makes it seem like that might not happen. So go ahead, Grifty.
Hey, I just wanted to speak on a couple things.
Hey, your mic is much lower than usual.
Oh, sorry.
And I can hear myself. Is that better? Yeah, it was better.
Okay. So I just wanted to speak a little bit on what Greg was saying earlier, about the way she tweeted out, no one in my family's running for governor, no one's been governor. It was a little even more deceitful because her dad was actually running for lieutenant governor at the time. So it was like willful half speak to get around it, which, we see that all the time in politics. So that's not unusual. And I have a report. Someone was helping me look some stuff up last night as far as their family. There's two separate deeds for the farm acreage, and the family home is actually across the street from the farm, and there's a recently pulled second mortgage on the house. So I don't know necessarily how well off this is. I have a friend that works in private investigations, so he was kind of helping me dig a little bit.
Yeah, right. Is she living on the family property?
That's her most recent address. It's across the street from the farm. That's the most recent address they can find for her.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting somewhere on it. Go ahead, LG.
So about Eliza's tie-up with Timcast, right? So Cassandra has me blocked right now, but the last I checked, she wrote that she actually does like Eliza, and she also said that probably, what's his name, Cashman was not the right person to do a documentary with her,
Who
but they are still
who
doing it.
who said that? Who said
It
that?
is on Cassandra's Twitter. She has me blocked,
Right
so if
now?
somebody can check it.
Oh, okay. All right. Let
But
me
she
check.
did write that I like Eliza, and then there are a lot of hate comments, and then she started blocking people. But yeah, she did actually publicly wrote that she does like Eliza. And other thing about Eliza, right? How she was banning accounts and stuff like that. And she never expected. She thought people would be really, really scared because of her contacts with Elon and Ella and all of that. But on the contrary, people started talking against her. So then she put out a lot of posts this morning. She goes, wait till I collaborate with Ye. But once you heard saying on an interview that you love how Kim and Kanye manipulates the media and you want that. So is that why you want to collaborate with Kanye? And then she said, oh, the reason why I was not talking is because January is a human trafficking month and I was busy working, but I was also listening and I want to listen to you guys. And I told myself, I asked myself, like, you were not busy working, you were busy working, getting people banned. And now that a lot of people are questioning her followers are falling off. So I think she might be working with Timcast, knowing that Cassandra likes her, to get the timeline of from Manuel, and weave some stories around that so that it matches. So that's why we need to come up with dates where she has her licenses, what were her addresses for those years, what did she do. So when she comes at us, we're already prepared to like counterattack and be like, nope, that's still wrong because based on your timeline that you try to create based on Defengo's timeline, it still does not match. And then she again put out a thirst tweet on Elon. It's like, oh, people are using me to pull Elon down. It's like, what do you think you are? Nobody's using you to pull Elon down. If he goes down, it's on him, but don't take that credit, you don't deserve it. So that's what I wanted to say about Eliza and my thoughts from this morning.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, she tweeted out a lot of stuff in the middle of the night. Is she on the East Coast or whereabouts is she
So
located?
her current address is in Illinois, so she,
Illinois,
yes,
Midwest.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, she was tweeting out like in the middle of the night last night a whole thread of stuff, including that she's going to collaborate with Ye, including that she loves
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, including
Full
that
Jack
a
Murphy.
bunch of other stuff. Yeah, yeah. Is that what Jack Murphy did too? I was
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say I was like,
he went on a Jesus screed after he got
Oh,
exposed
really?
bad.
oh
So I
God.
think,
I mean, it's just so
uh-huh,
predictable, right?
I think when they start talking about Jesus, a lot of people feel bad that, okay, she found something good and she's on the right path. But remember, when Job, anybody who's a Christian, like when Job was persecuted, it was Satan who did that, and God knew about it. So it's like Satan also goes to God. It's no big deal
Right.
when she says about, oh, I love Jesus, I was scared to talk about it, but now I can say, no, you just want sympathy, but people know better.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Griftcast. Oh, Griftcast. IRL. I know the Griftcast.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm just saying this has been a really great space so far. There are some people out there that are saying that they're having trouble finding the space. So if you could take the time now, if you're in here and share this out to your friends, just retweet it real quick or whatever so that, people can see it. Cause I've noticed some folks over here in the YouTube land after, I'm out here grifting on this whole entire situation. So, I just want to say, make sure you guys are sharing it. Make sure you're keeping it clean. That's all I gotta say. Thank you very much.
Oh, all right. Thanks. Yeah, I'm not the best at self promotion historically. I did reach out specifically to some people that I thought would be good to get on the stream. But obviously, if people come in, it's better. And yeah, I would talk. And, Cassandra, everybody's on Twitter right now. That's why I thought it was funny to go. Cassandra's tweeting on Twitter right now. The Quartering is tweeting right now. So I put out, I put out a link to the Quartering and stuff. But if we could get some of those people to comment, people who are on Twitter who are involved in this, then that would be great. I'd be happy to talk to them.
By the way, I noticed that there were a couple of people that were trying to get in and were having trouble getting in. I'm not sure what that's all about. But I would just say that make sure that you guys go definitely check out Nathan Sloatman on YouTube. Lift the Veil. Obviously, he's got to buy a coffee too. He's working hard out over here, setting up this space. So make sure you guys are going out there, sharing some love.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I saw GriftCast getting his grift on today. I haven't been getting my grift on particularly well because people don't seem to grift on Twitter Spaces. So, but if you want to support the grift, I do appreciate it. I put up my Buy Me a Coffee on my timeline, so you can check it out. You can drop a coffee. You can leave a note. I'll read it. So, and that is how I get support for stuff. So if people help me out, that's great. It really goes a long way. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to mention, I'm not sure if it's been touched on. Somebody before mentioned a Twitter Spaces that Miss Bleu was a part of. I was new to Twitter. I just joined when I just rejoined when Elon took over, and I didn't know what Spaces was, and I just was like clicking and listening, and I ended up on the Spaces where I think it was after Open Source's post where she kind of addressed it, and she had a Spaces where she talked about it, and she brought on Annie from Hookers for Jesus, and she also brought on that woman that was sued by her family who supposedly set up like a halfway house for survivors. And so she brought those two people onto that Spaces to vouch for her. And she was very intent on that. And I remember hearing it. I don't know if anybody's, judged that up and listened to it. It was quite a long one. But I just wanted to bring it up in case it hadn't fallen on anybody's radar. And it was before any Brittany's posts, so it wasn't on mine. I wasn't really paying attention. Again, I didn't really know what Spaces was. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that if it hadn't been brought up, that she tried, it's the same answers that we're still getting. It wasn't any further clarification, but I know that it was a topic that that a bunch of people were a part of. So there might be little crumbs in that conversation. If it was recorded, I don't know. And it took place sometime in December, I believe. So I just wanted to bring that up. That's all. Thanks, guys, for what you're doing.
Yeah, you're talking about a Spaces conversation between Elon Musk and the new Amber Heard. Now I almost want to call her Amber Heard, but Eliza Bleu. So yeah, I didn't hear that Spaces. I heard Eliza Bleu in other Spaces before. So
Don't give her that wench's name. Oh, I hate
Amber. Go ahead, AC.
I just wanted to ask you and Greg. I wanted to ask you this as well. Have you guys had a chance to go through the Lauren Chen video that she did, the one that just Sebastian Gorka retweeted out last night?
No, personally, I have not. Unfortunately, like with Eliza, there's countless hours of videos, and I even found some deep cuts of early podcast appearances. I'm like, man, this is a lot of stuff to digest while I'm still trying to have to do investigative journalism for my company. So So no, I
Well,
haven't seen the Lawrence N one yet.
oh well, it's a great video. She doesn't go into the it's like she doesn't go into some of the more, shall we say, seedier aspects of the story that have come to light recently. Shout out again once to Grifty for that amazing thread. Um, Check that out if you if you haven't seen it. But at towards the end, but the reason I mentioned the Lauren Chen video is towards the end of it, she makes some remarks towards in regards to Eliza and Elon's potential not not relationship, but like between two romantically involved people, but just a relationship in general. And so I think Eliza saw that video because Sebastian Gorka is not a small account, and neither is Lauren Chen either. Um, so I think she may have caught wind of that video and watched it. And I speculate personally that the the tweets in regards to Elon that Eliza put out last night may have been in an indirect response to some of Lauren's remarks at the towards the end of her video, which it's a great video. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's a well done 10-15 minute video. It's really really well done.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Oh yeah, I was just going to provide a little context for those in the room, because I know in the space right now we have approximately 175 people. So for those who may not be cognizant, I'll provide a little bit of context. Eliza, particularly like throughout 2020, really shopped herself around to anybody that would let her be on a podcast. So you'll see creators that you never heard of in conjunction with some larger platforms throughout 2020, 2021, 2022. She shopped herself around to anybody and everybody who would potentially give herself a platform. So we only know about the things that she appeared on. And there's a lot of them. There are a lot of podcasts that she's put herself on, even ones that are just audio-based podcasts. We have no idea how many people she propositioned, but she has shown or has demonstrated a willingness to habitually shop herself around and will, jump on anybody who bites. But she only does rank writing. So she won't go on a lower platform once she excels past a certain platform, if that makes any sense.
It definitely makes sense, because I know, as somebody who doesn't have a huge platform, how hard it is to get certain people to even acknowledge your existence. And so, but that's the way it goes. DeFango knows, and everybody knows that when you're a small creator, it's hard to get people to come on your show. But then when you're big, I've been a bigger creator too. I had 100,000 YouTube subscribers at one point before they deleted me. So I knew I would have people contacting me then asking me to come on the show. So I know what that's like. People who are trying to shop themselves around and tell you they have some story to tell. So, but yeah, we saw her specifically reaching out to Lex Friedman, trying to date him. So she just shows that, like, just totally stereotypical clout chasing, basically. I mean, she goes after. I'm surprised she didn't. I'm surprised there's no evidence of her trying to go after Joe Rogan, and maybe there is. I mean, you would think that that would be the number one spot that you could get. So go ahead, Sunshine. You just got in.
Hi guys. Yeah, I've been in on these spaces a number of different times. Just kind of following the story. I did just see something earlier. I do believe I sent it to Grifty, or maybe it was Chrissy. I'm not for sure. But it was basically Eliza talking to these two separate guys on this podcast, and she's talking about how a young child, like you'd have to look into a young child's past and how the child kind of performs to whether or not the child itself is ready for like sexual action. I don't even know how to respond to the actual video, but she's talking about, oh yeah, you need to have the churches and church members and all of this other stuff like kind of involved in that type of stuff, and I'm like, what? I don't know if anybody else saw that. But
We
also,
played that. We played that in the room for everybody
did you?
before you joined, so
What
we got
what
a
was that
chance
all
for people to
about?
comment. Yeah, it's a very worrisome comment, and I just mentioned it reminded me of the comment that buried Milo Yiannopoulos when he said that it was okay for boys to have sex with men sometimes. So, which really wasn't, I guess, was kind of the final straw for a lot of people with Milo. So this particular video, I definitely see it being shared around. A lot of people on my timeline shared that video. So, and yeah, I find it, well, it's going to be disturbing for people who are like child advocates who say that children can't consent to sex. They're going to disagree with what she said there. It was just very, totally 100% bizarre, for her to say that. So,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. The only thing I'm going to interject to that is a lot for anybody who thinks like it's. I mean, everybody knows the law. It differs in different states and stuff like that. To whether someone can consent and stuff like that, and pretty much consent boils down to if you say no, it is no. But with the with this type of stuff, like a person's brain doesn't actually stop growing until the age of like 25 years old. So it, to me, I mean, this is where I have a tough time really kind of listening to her, like, I guess hitting on that 17-year-old boy. Do we know much more beyond just like what we've seen on Instagram? Have we gotten an interview from the guy? Do we know any more information beyond that? And also, I don't know who said it, but also the timelines, that Eliza, she may come up with a story to counteract what's being said. If we have something to counteract what she's saying, whatever may come out, it may be helpful to, I guess, our side of the story.
right, right. Helpful for us to have our restate what you just said, Sunshine, just so I understand.
Basically, whatever she said, like to have a timeline. So if Eliza goes on this Timcast, and let's say it's a puff piece, and let's say Shane Cashman, which I think is weird, like if she was trafficked, especially by guys, it's weird to me that she would feel more comfortable having be her interviewer, or guys be her interviewers. That just seems strange to me. But whatever she puts out in her timeline, or like let's say she goes back and she looks at all of her, like what she said, and she kind of weaves the story around what she said in the past, we should have like a timeline set up so we can kind of be like, yeah, that's correct or that's not correct, because we actually have proof. And also,
Yeah, go ahead.
the 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I don't think anybody has any statements from him or anything, or anybody's talked to that guy. We do have another boyfriend who's started speaking about her, and some kind of ex-boyfriend who I invited to this space. A guy named Matt. So there is that guy who says that she's grifting. Somebody who was apparently an ex boyfriend of some sort. So let me see. Matt Skidmore is his name, was tweeting that he's her ex and she's totally grifting off of people. So that's somebody who might know about it. So let me ask. Okay, I'm going to try to get through people. Go ahead, Miss Peeps. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, when I just came in, I heard them saying something about her with Epstein's lawyers. I wanted to find out about that. I didn't remember the person's name that he said. But this is all really strange because all of this goes back to my case and the person that I turned into the FBI. And there's so much that the FBI did not say. It didn't come out in trial. It didn't, like, there's so much there that never came out. And now, you know, I had emailed when the trial was going on, I went and I testified with another girl. And I even had to give the FBI that information. He had different, the same thing with Eliza, like different names, different social security numbers. Things were just, but none of that was brought into trial. I was just glad that he was going to jail. I was just glad of that. But at the time I didn't realize, like, now it's so weird because the attorney general that was on my case, I emailed her for any help. She never emailed me back. And now she is working in the Virgin Islands. She's like the one up, under the lady that they just fired for going after Epstein. And the FBI agent I had also has some connections to the whole, like, Pornhub and all of that. And I remember her leaving during the trial and during, that time, and saying, "Oh, I have to go back to California. I mean, I have to go to California for something. So I'm going to leave you in the hands of this other FBI agent." And, like, the timing of it is just, and, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a Alex Jones. I don't, but I mean, when you really look into it and just simple things, you're like, wow. So her having some kind of connection with Epstein lawyers is really, like, that really piqued my interest when I heard that, because I just have the feeling that this was all somehow, everything was covered up, just the way my trial went, the way that I turned things in that were never spoken of. So, like, that's what I really want to find out about her connection, because she's out here raising money and her family has money. You had a 500-acre farm, and it's like you're out here raising money. You're saying in one interview, you're saying your dad dropped you off with a garbage bag. I'm like, you guys, okay, I heard someone just say they're not as well off. Well, you know, a 500-acre farm in Illinois with the taxes that are in Illinois, and, like, that, you got money. You have money. And your mom's a professor and your dad, like, it's all not making sense. None of it. And it's just, I just wonder if she was put in. Somebody put her there. Somebody did. I don't know if it's
Well,
dad. That's just how I look at it. Somebody,
yeah, I mean that's the conspiracy angle on it, right? Which people always think
yeah,
of when anybody becomes popular. So, I mean, yeah, I can understand. I can understand where people would want to wonder, oh, was this organic? Did she really create it herself? And we have a pretty clear history of her. We have a pretty clear history of her seeking out influential people, riding off of their fame.
mhm.
So I think the story of her rising to fame organically is believable. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think her rise to fame is believable based on the fact that she wanted to be famous. She picked the right thing to be, which was like a survivor of sex trafficking as her kind of clout, and she was able to use that successfully. And then maybe this unforeseen thing happened where Elon Musk found out about her, and then she became integrated with Twitter Trust and Safety and stuff.
That's
But
strange
yeah,
to me too. The whole Elon Musk thing is like, because I never knew who she was. And I happened to see her a tweet on the For You page. And I I posted it, and then it's like the next day she's with Elon Musk. I'm like, wow. So, there's another thing with the World Star Hip Hop thing. I'm into hip hop. I've always been into hip hop. And a big thing in that industry is they don't usually pay you, especially somebody like her. Now, they may pay an artist, but you usually pay for that. You usually pay for, um, getting put on, as you would say, or being, getting some viewership of that audience. So that's strange to me too. I can understand maybe why, because the owner is not. I mean, he passed away. So in the time period that probably she was around, maybe she did the deal with him. But usually you pay for that.
You're saying usually you pay to be in a music video, but she's an
Not
attractive woman. I mean, I'm sure it makes sense to me that she would have been paid for a performance. I mean, I would be surprised if they
if
actually,
they were.
if
If it was with other ladies, I understand that. But this is just focused on her. This was put out there to just focus on her. You understand what I'm saying? Like, a video vixen, they do, they're in a lot of videos. Yeah, that's true. But this one particular video was just focused on her. It wasn't focused on the song. It wasn't focused on anything else. It was just to put her out there. So, I mean,
well, maybe she was sleeping with the director. You never know, right?
never know. I don't know. But I know, I'm just interested in how this is going to go back, with them saying about Epstein and um, the whole Kanye thing. It's all weird. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just trying to figure it all out. And I don't think this Timcast thing is, I personally don't think it's going to give any answers, because Shane is the one that was on the show with her and defending everything she was saying. And Tim had the time right there to ask her the hard questions, because it was already starting to bubble when she went on that show.
Yeah,
And,
I had DeFango on my show before she was on Timcast. I
hmm
already knew that people were questioning her past before
hmm
she was on Timcast. So,
but okay, that's enough. I'm sorry to take
all
everybody's time.
right. Thanks, Miss Peeps.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Good hearing from you. I'm going to call in a few people I've never heard from before, who asked to come up. So please be entertaining. Go ahead, Suleiman.
Thanks for having me, Nathan. So I'll explain to you my thoughts, and then I've got a view on it. So in terms of Eliza Blue, my interaction with her was on a Twitter space, because she's representing two of the women in the Tate case, which I'm researching. Um, and so in terms of Eliza Blue, I did research into her, and I was gonna write a thread on her, and then I changed my mind because as I'm assuming a lot of people have said on this thread, on this space, because I've just joined it, a lot of things didn't add up. But I decided against it because I thought, I don't really want to come across as attacking someone who is representing the women. It might come across as disingenuous, so I left it. Now, in terms of Eliza Blue herself, for me, the biggest concern is this, and I'm sure you guys might have talked about it before I came on, so I apologize if I'm repeating. Basically the level of power she's holding in terms of being able to ban people. So you had a scenario in the previous Twitter regime where people complained about the way it was run, and people on the right were like, "Oh, it's not fair. There's FBI involvement. We had the Twitter files and so on and so forth." But I would say this is much more concerning, because if an individual yields this level of power where she can get people banned, many people have been blocked. I know, for example, Andrew Tate was shadow banned for a considerable amount of time, and the only link to that is Eliza Blue representing the two women, that the two alleged victims. And then we have a number of people who are banned, such as Quartering and so on and so forth. So my issue is this, that if anything, this current regime is more concerning, because if an individual yields this level of power and the policy and procedure is changing based on the individual, because the VP came out on a thread and posted it roughly simultaneously or around the same time as what Eliza Blue was posting, That for me is of greater concern than maybe even what was happening in the past, even though what was happening in the past was really bad, because when you give power to an individual, they can use that power in a negative way. And also it demonstrates that my main problem what I had with this entire new regime, which was meant to be a bastion of change, which is that there doesn't seem to be any policy or procedure. And we saw that with the year banning. Now you can ban year, no problem. If you don't believe in absolute free speech, that's not a problem as well. But you need to demonstrate what parameters you're following and then apply those parameters completely throughout Twitter. So I know, I can give my own example. I get much more Islamophobia on my tweets, especially when I post about tape. I get significant amount of racism. I'm not saying those people should be banned, but I know Kanye was banned for that symbol that he put up. So what is the policy and procedure? And no one's asked Elon that. And this is another example of where there's no consistency, and it demonstrates there's no policy, and actually a random person can yield the power and ban anyone.
Yeah, well, we already had the idea that things were being operated at the whim of Elon Musk based on the the yay banning over that Raelian symbol, which, Elon just decided, oh, that's too much. I can't take it. I'm going to ban him. It seems like. And
Well,
then
he said
Elon,
it in a Twitter space. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you. I do apologize, Nathan. He actually said it in a Twitter space because they asked him. They said, "What's the reason for banning?" So he said it incited hatred, and then his proof of inciting said hatred was, you know what? I actually felt like punching him. Well, if the parameters of hate speech is someone wanting to punch, then again you're banning a lot of people. And if the parameters are just Elon Musk wanting to punch someone, then again you have a problem where it's just so random and so emotional that there's no consistency in policy or procedure.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about Elon Musk, and I don't just want to talk shit about him. And as a matter of fact, right now, there hasn't been any more censorship that I'm aware of since DeFango was permanently suspended that I'm aware of. So anybody can correct me if that's incorrect. So that's why today I put Eliza Blue's name in the title. I saw her name trending. So I have the impression that Twitter is aware that they've created a problem and they're not trying to make it worse by, let's say, suspending the quartering again. Although they still haven't brought back Brittany Venti, and there still are some other creators that I'm not as familiar with, like Yellow Flash, I believe, is one of them, and somebody 331. People can say who those are that are still banned, but otherwise, right now, we haven't seen any censorship. So it seems like maybe the censorship is over, and now we're gonna wait. And now basically I'm just hosting these Twitter spaces until Elon Musk does something. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts, at least, is like, until Elon Musk says something about this unjustifiable action, then I'm willing to be on Twitter and be annoying for the platform and talk about canceling Twitter Blue and stuff until they rectify the situation, until DeFango comes back, until Brittany comes back and stuff. So, but it does seem like the censorship is less now. That's interesting, Solomon. Let me ask you something. So you post about Andrew Tate and and it's negative information, and Andrew Tate supporters attack you in a racist way.
No, the other way around. It's I guess you could call it pro-Tate, even though I don't consider myself pro-Tate. But the result of the content does end up being pro-Tate, and the people attacking me are actually anti-Tate people.
Oh, really? And they're that's amazing.
That's
amazing. That's liberals, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
amazing.
Because what liberals do is, and funny enough, the people who are attacking me weren't even Caucasian. So that's the second irony. So, because what liberals do is they basically appropriate certain thoughts, certain ideologies, and certain cultures. So, for example, in my view, they've appropriated Muslims, they've appropriated Black people, they've appropriated Mexicans, they've appropriated LGBTQ. And then if somebody from those communities disagrees with one of their ideas or one of their positions, They'll send their army of that. So for me, it'd be Muslims or it might be Asians who'll come and attack you or even black people. Because one of my articles that got removed from a black newspaper was about Andrew Tate and racism. They'll send that army to come and attack you. So that's the methodology of the way they work.
Wow.
Well, yeah, you're suffering the after effect of the spread of the concept of silence is violence. You heard that a lot during like the uprising of like BLM and stuff like that, or I don't want to say uprising, but like the emergence of BLM into the pop culture. There was the coined term "silence is violence," where it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be silent, but even if you present yourself as remotely neutral on a subject, because I'm with respect to Andrew Tate, like I'm an Andrew Tate neutral. I don't know too much about him. Like, I see like the topical information that comes out, and I've poked around and seen some of the things that he said. Some of the more like general truthism, some of the pro men or pro masculinity things, and I've seen other things where it's like kind of like that's not something I would necessarily say. But even if you come out as neutral, there are just unfortunately bad actors that encompass portions of the far or fringe left that take someone's neutrality or even someone's minute stance in favor of something that they oppose, and they just completely weaponize that. It's like like I said, it's the silence is violence thing. It's like if you're not actively anti-racist or what have you, then you are racist type of thing. It's that type of thought process and methodology in action. And as you so explained, it transcends a number of topics.
I totally agree because the idea is that it's the liberal order, which to an extent you can maybe link the Democratic Party, who basically decide if you're going to be accepted into your own culture. So do you remember the famous line of was it Samuel L. Jackson? I can't remember. No, it was a Morgan Freeman. I can't remember saying to basically calling Justin Thomas basically Uncle Tom. Or you had, for example, Biden telling black people that if you don't vote for his party, you ain't black. So this is the level of liberal, this is a demonstration of liberal ideology where they decide if you should be accepted by your own culture and society. And yet they use that same culture and society's empathy to be able to gain traction and gain control over everyone.
Yeah. Let me get to Justin. I haven't heard from you before. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, just real quick, mic test. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good deal, good deal. I just wanted to add some context to the relationship between Eliza and Cassandra. At some point in time, I'm not a 4chan autist, so I don't have the dates and the paperwork available to share, but at some point in time, somebody had leaked a bunch of nudes of Cassandra. And after that point in time, whether as a shoulder to cry on or as an outlet to get connected with like lawyers or something, Eliza assisted Cassandra through that, and she ended up winning a revenge porn court case. So that's why they're so tight, is because of Cassandra's leaked nudes and Eliza being the homie for her during that time frame. That's literally all I had to add.
Thanks, Justin. That's good context. Yeah, I didn't know what the nature of the relationship was. I had heard something about pictures of Cassandra's boobs ending up somewhere and her being upset about it. So that's
it was
interesting.
more than that. They're still out there. They're spicy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, didn't I even bring that up last night as like a theory? Like last night during the multi-hour space, I was like, I wonder if it has anything to do with like her getting her nudes leaked or something like that with regard to Eliza and them being in cahoots. Because I remember that portion of the fappening for that girl's nudes getting dropped.
Right.
But yeah,
GrifTCast?
that's pretty much all I had to add on that. I just wanted to throw in why Cassandra and Eliza were so tight. She helped her out during all that.
Cool. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it. Thanks for the context.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Were you trying to jump in, Griftcast?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, that theory about what was happening with Cassandra Fairbanks and Eliza is obviously pretty clear. I mean, poor Cassandra had all them things leaked in the fappening, and I mean, there's still evidence of it out there, but I mean, there was a lot of creators that got caught up in that particular event. And I think that, even if you look into Cassandra's past even farther, you'll find stuff about the gate of pizzas and even more. So
Well,
just
I remember Cassandra Fairbanks. Like my first memory of her was 2017. She was friends with David Seaman, who I made a video about and kind of like exposed as being like a Pizzagate grifter. And she showed up at the protest with David Seaman. And then that was when he called me out from the stage and he was like, this guy's following me. He's protecting pedophiles, all this stuff. It was like a crazy day. But I remember Cassandra Fairbanks was with him. And yeah, she was into the Pizzagate thing. And that's not to say like I'm a conspiracy theorist. There was like definitely real stuff about Pizzagate. But there were also people who grifted off of Pizzagate, including Jack Posobiec, I'm pretty sure. I don't know how. It just shows you can get away with stuff. I think Jack Posobiec like did some fake like hidden video or something. I remember, and then they all went to the pizza place together and had their picture taken, and that's a whole different thing. So hey, I just want to mention I brought you up on stage. My name is Greg. And it says you're a child sex abuse trafficking survivor, and you haven't raised your hand or anything, but I wondered if there was something you wanted to add.
Sure. Well, the conversation, thanks. Yeah. Conversation sort of moved on, but technical, how do I raise a hand? I know how to request, but I couldn't figure out how to put my hand up.
I've never raised my hand before in a Twitter Spaces before, so I can't answer that question.
I'll help you, Nate.
Hit the little heart button at the bottom for the emojis, and then all the way to the right is the hand raise.
Got it. Okay, now I know. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I guess I hopped on mostly to listen, but there were a couple of things brought up about Eliza that I thought I would comment on. One is I think speaking as a survivor myself, who's very well documented, and I deal with a lot of survivors in the real world. It's hard to say what's going on with her. She's definitely chasing clout. I think people have brought up a lot of really good points just in terms of her history. But that doesn't mean that it's not, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing sort of situation. And so I think it's more complicated. And my thing is I don't really trust her. However, bringing exposure to the topic is really important and really good. So if that's all that's been done, then some positive has come out of whatever it is that she's actually trying to accomplish. But I guess some people had brought up like prostitution or escorting as opposed to trafficking. And I just want to point out that those two things aren't mutually exclusive, right? People are groomed into situations, adolescents, children, adults, and they don't fully understand what's going on until they're in neck deep. And I'm not trying to make excuses for her. It could be very well that this is 100% grift on her part. But I think it's too soon to say. Certainly there's a lot of red flags. But it could be a bunch of things playing out and not just all of one and none of the other. It could be a couple of different things. And it doesn't look good, but I guess assuming things are worst case scenario and that this is a grift, the question becomes like, and I understand there's people here because of trafficking and interested because of trafficking, either because they're survivors or they know survivors or just general interest. And there's other people that are creators here that are interested in sort of like the censoring and the suppression. I can't really speak to the censoring or suppression stuff, but as a survivor myself who's involved with survivors, I guess the question I have is is if this has been a con job on her part, what can be done by people like the people here and other influencers to sort of take the exposure and the spotlight that's been shone on the topics, and how do we course correct, take it away from someone who doesn't deserve it, assuming she doesn't deserve it, without throwing the baby out, in terms of where do we go from here? People are talking about it. She grew in followers by a huge number, in recent months. So there's clearly an interest and an opportunity to do something good here. And it's great to go after grifters and scam artists, but I just hope people don't lose sight of the actual issue that's going on around this, regardless of whether it was co-opted inappropriately by somebody or not. Let's not lose sight of the fact that there's more trafficking happening now than there's probably ever been in the history of the planet. And what can we do with this to sort of alleviate things? And thank you for letting me rant. I'll mute myself now.
Thanks, I really appreciate it. Yeah, one of the things we're trying to do is to hear from people like you, so, who can speak to this on a personal level. So that's one thing we have just been trying to accomplish by hosting these spaces, is just trying to hear from people with different backgrounds and give them a space where they feel comfortable being able to speak about stuff like that. Going forward, I from the different creators that have been in on these spaces and I've talked about it, I think most of them, not all of them, most of them a lot of them have some interest in child abuse or sex trafficking independent of this story and want to carry that forward. And a lot of those people, people feel like they wish that the person who was the face of sex trafficking wasn't basically a liar or a scammer or whatever it is that people think that Eliza Bleu is. So anyway, thanks for your input. I appreciate it. I'm going to take a few people and then I'm going to start rotating a little bit because I have a lot of people requesting. Still interested in hearing from, influential people on this issue, like the quartering and stuff. So make sure you are sharing this out there. We are getting people tuned in. So we want to hear from people who have stuff to say about this. But let me get a few people out of the room and start cycling some people through. So Miss Peeps, I see you off mute. Are you?
I just wanted to say something really quick.
Yeah.
To the person that was talking about the Tate case. What's really strange is that she is saying that she is, advocating for some of the Andrew Tate survivors. What's weird is Elon just posted something that is kind of in favor of Andrew Tate. If that's how I took it anyway. When something about wrestling and seeing that Andrew Tate might be out pretty soon or something, him thinking that, I don't know. I just took it as maybe him being in favor of the Tate case. And then I also wanted to say, we've really gotten into, I think with the Me Too movement, we've really gotten into thinking that women cannot be overly manipulative. And that's something that we have to work on, because I've seen women that are more manipulative than any man I've met. And I've met some really manipulative men. So I think that's something that we have to also look into. And it's, going to be talked about just within this whole thing. Like there's so many things that are being talked about just within this one, person. So that's all I wanted to say. But
thanks, Miss Peeps.
Yeah,
thanks.
Nathan, do you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, it could be because he has made a couple of posts that give that kind of indication. But the issue is, as an example, when Andrew Tate was reinstated on Twitter, his following increased significantly. And then when since Eliza Bleu became the advocate of these women, he was shadow banned. And then his increase in followers substantially stagnated in the sense of the level of progression that was occurring. So from that, like what caused his shadow ban? So it could be just random. It could be a Twitter employee, or one could make the inference that Eliza Bleu had the impact. And now that we're seeing that she has greater impact than we thought, one thinks that it gives it a greater possibility. That's the first point. And I agree with you. You made an excellent point. I think all of us, or even my post that may come across as pro Tate, even though I consider myself unbiased, but just the evidence is leading that way. The point is this: we can never have a world where we believe all women, and we can never have a world where all men are innocent. The problem, because as soon as you create that world, you've got a scenario where you've got no choice, you've got no way out. There's an important and it creates a totalitarian society. I mentioned this in the recent interview because I interviewed one of the alleged victims of Andrew Tate, who then said, "Guess what? I'm not a victim. He's actually my family." And now, to combat that, they said, "Oh, she may have Stockholm syndrome." And then we questioned her, and I questioned her, and it was very clear that didn't happen. But this bit from there that should make one scared is this: they can literally go to you, your husband, your brother, your father, your son, and say, you know what, he has committed, as an example, taking advantage of a woman without consent, and he can say, I didn't do it. The woman can say he didn't do it, and yet he can still go to jail. So that's the level of where society is going, and that is concerning. Just last question I've got for everyone here is this: in my there was a video, and I did retweet this, where Eliza Bleu is given an example of the trafficking that she endured, and she basically equates it to someone using another person's profile on Twitter. And she says that's an exact. So someone used her profile on Twitter and then talked to people or wherever it may be. And she said that's an example of her being human trafficked. Now, my question is this: obviously, that's a ridiculous notion. But my question is this: was that out of context, or is that actually her claim?
Do you think that her claim was she making an example, or was she actually talking about something that actually happened? Is what you're saying, right?
I can answer my opinion on that.
Okay, go
She
ahead,
was
Summer.
talking about something that happened, but I want to know if it's out of context. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Summer.
Yeah, Suleiman. I mean, I think we both commented on the same video that you're referencing, and her definition of trafficking was so broad. It's as broad as the flipping River Thames. That's how broad it was. It was like literally someone uses your picture online, that's it, it's trafficking. It's completely absurd. And I agree with a lot of the remarks others have said, that since Me Too, the application of what is deemed to be exploitation of women has gone too far now. And I think also there's like this, because men are physically more, they're built stronger than women. I think a lot of men do feel this thing where they have to protect women, but you have to remember that, like the lady just said, there's a lot of women who fabricate things because they want revenge, for example, or they want money, or they want fame. Human beings, whether they're male or female, they're capable of evil, they're capable of manipulation. So this is why it's so important to number one, assess the claims that are made under a proper process, and number two, let the evidence be thoroughly examined. And you cannot thoroughly examine evidence if a process is not undertaken. And this actually feeds into what's happening with Andrew Tate. Now, in relation to Andrew Tate, my stance has always been innocent until proven guilty. If there's evidence that he's done some crime, irrefutable evidence, clear evidence, fine. But what I don't like is that I can see there's an agenda. I can see people using the situation to exploit it for their own notoriety and to basically fill their own pockets and make a name for themselves. And I've mapped the things that I think are going on, which work into this agenda. So everyone needs to be discerning and look at who gains from certain situations, and whether you think that the standards or the ethos that they're working by is reasonable, or it just favors their situation. And in coming to the Elon Musk point, the lady who just spoke about Elon Musk, making some kind of protest, and Elon Musk is a very intelligent man. Okay, he is never going to let you pin him down on what he's actually thinking. He may give you shades of what he's thinking, but he will then counterbalance it with something else that's in complete prima facie is in complete contradiction to what he just said, and he does that deliberately, and he's smart to do it, because as soon as people can pin down his positions on things, that's when he can be properly attacked. So I wouldn't give much credence to the tweets that he makes. Half the time he's joking or being sarcastic or kind of just like mildly trolling people. So yeah, I think everyone needs to be smart and just say, look, is this logical? Is it right that a woman should be able to character assassinate somebody without the full evidence, without robustly going into things? Me and Suleiman have been following the Tate case, and we were on some early Mario spaces. And if you look at the tone and the amount and the kinds of evidence that was presented, and the veracity with which it was presented, and the way how the debate went down, it was literally like a lynch mob, like pick forks out, kill the beast, like from Beauty and the Beast, kill the beast. It was insane, and people have to move away from this mob mentality and apply critical thinking. And I just hope that that's what happens, because I think that there isn't enough balance in the world right now. And that's it from me.
Let me provide some balance to this spaces, because I have a different opinion about Andrew Tate. So I appreciate that people support Andrew Tate and stuff. Officially, Andrew Tate had some women do interviews where they said they were raped or abused by Tate. He's on voice messages saying he likes to rape and that he likes to choke and that he liked doing it to somebody who didn't like it. And she told the story to an interviewer of exactly that thing happening. So to me, it's a much different story than Eliza Bleu's, trafficking story, because, like Andrew Tate admitted to using the lover boy method, which in some places is illegal. So, in that sense. So anyway, that's just to provide some balance.
You just said the key point. In some places, the lover boy method is illegal. And also, this is the other thing. In Romania, the law changed at a certain point within the last 2 years. So before that law changed, there wasn't the same stipulations in the law as there were after that law changed. And then in addition, Suleiman made a really good point the other day. He was saying that, well, don't most guys, when they're going down to the club with girls, use a bit of the lover boy method, just pretending they are something they're not. Whatever, you could say that about so many things. The only way to curtail exploitation is to take yourself out of the game, and the only way to take yourself out of the game is to go back to what people did a long time ago, which is, they would know the person who they're getting involved with, their families would know the person they're getting involved with. But that's not what society seems to want. They want complete freedom, but then you have to, unfortunately, there's a lot of risks with that freedom, because the differentiation between immoral and illegal, there's a big wide band between that, and you can get exploited within that band. So you can't police every single thing in society. You can police some of it, but if the moral fabric of society is completely eroded, how much policing can you actually do?
And sorry, Nathan, I know you don't want this space to become a taste space, and I guess the
I really don't. To be honest with you.
If I could redirect what I've
hold on,
maybe.
Jesse, hold
and the link is just about human trafficking. Sorry, I'm about to leave anyway. So and the only link is about human trafficking. So I guess that's why it came up. So I apologize that it's been viewed somewhere else. In terms of what you said, I have actually debunked that device piece on my thread if anybody wants to read that. But anyway, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, there's in my opinion, what Andrew Tate did was morally reprehensible just based on the words that came out of his mouth. So I'm never going to defend him. I don't know if he did anything illegal, but I don't care. He raped somebody, he choked people, it's not, so that's my opinion on it, but I don't want to talk about Andrew Tate. I don't want to, it's a totally different subject.
Yeah, no, Nathan. I did hear somebody have a question because originally, like, it's somehow a kind of spun off to Andrew Tate, but somebody was asking about context regarding Eliza's comments about essentially being catfished, And, I know there was a little bit of ambiguity based upon that, a couple of minutes earlier. So to provide context on that, Eliza Bleu was doing a podcast appearance a year or so back with Michael Malice. And she wasn't, based upon the context of the conversation, I don't think she was talking about her entire alleged experience. But she was, Malice was asking about what some examples of, trafficking she endured. And that's when she brought up basically fake Twitter profiles. She's like, there's a number of fake Twitter profiles, I think 2 or 3 of them. I'm paraphrasing her, by the way, but this is the crux of what she said. And Malice was really confused by that, and he was really trying to help her through that, to say people were impersonating her. And when she was trying to articulate how it was an iteration of trafficking, she made this weird assertion that these people would use her image on Twitter, and there was a couple of profiles, and they would redirect her to her Instagram page. None of it made sense. And then she capped that off with saying, I haven't joined Twitter until 2019. I think that served 2 purposes. Or I think the primary purpose that served, I believe this is a theory, I believe she said that during the Michael Malice appearance because she knows that she has had at least 1 or 2 other Twitter profiles dating as far back as 2012. One of them being under Eliza Seep, the other one being under Eliza Knows. 2 completely separate profiles. So my assumption is, by her saying she was being impersonated back in the day, it's a way she can point back to that Michael Malice interview and say, hey, these were the profiles I was talking about. You guys thought you saw something about me, these old profiles. Well, I already addressed it. They were fake profiles. However, she also has stuff contradicting that because she was talking on video back in like 2012 saying, follow me on Twitter at Eliza Seep. So there's the context for that original question.
Do you mind if I chime in really quick before I lose my thought? I've been waiting patiently.
Go ahead, Pink.
Okay, so this is the thing. Why hasn't she gone to court and taken her supposed sex trafficking guy or woman or whoever did it to her to court? And another thing is, the reason why we have a hard time believing, here's another thing about this believe all women. No, we can't do that anymore because clearly believing all women is not the context that it was supposed to be meant for. Because I'm going back to Amber Heard. She obviously lied. So here we go again. We're now in a situation do we believe this woman because she was sex trafficked? But then there's people like Charlotte Proudman who have said, believe her and not the evidence. We need to have clear-cut evidence to prove that this woman was sex trafficked in order to believe her, because I don't believe until I have a burden of proof. And I need to have that in order to believe her, okay? And the reason why I believe Elon Musk has gone after this girl is because when somebody brand new comes on the scene, it seems like he is kind of like into it and wants to lift that person up, especially women, that are talking about politicized topics like sex trafficking, like marital abuse, and stuff like that. So he's always willing to raise those women up and support them and, give them whatever they want, it seems like. And that's how I'm seeing it with Amber and how I'm seeing it with Eliza, because if it is true he gave her a Tesla, then that shows his true colors, and to me, not saying he's a bad person, it's just showing that he has an MO when it comes to women, certain women.
Yep. I think that's clear. I think the quartering tried to imply that there was something going on with Elon and Eliza, saying that Elon has a type and that Eliza fits that type. And if that type is like Amber Heard, then Eliza in many ways is like Amber Heard. So anyway, let me get to a few people. I rotated a few people out. So the two people who were talking about Andrew Tate, I didn't rotate you out because I didn't want people supporting Andrew Tate. I just rotated you out because I thought you guys were done and we had to get to a few more speakers. So it's cool for people to have different opinions here. I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything. So Jesse, I know what you wanted to hop in. And if you want to speak, raise your hand.
Okay, audio's good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm baking, so I might have to run off here in a second. So the quartering thing about kind of like roping her in with Amber Heard is a perfect example. Like the last time I spoke, it was near the end of the last one, which was 6 hours. I don't blame anybody for not listening all the way to the end. But I talked about fracturing, and I absolutely think that fracturing is going to happen. It's not bad. Nathan, I think what you're doing is excellent. I think it's going to be draining to your energy and anybody that hosts conversations like this. But let's talk about the strength of these conversations. Is you've got people just coming in off the street with their testimony. You've got investigative journalists who are coming in off the street. There's people going in all different directions. And likewise, you're going to have a lot of differing opinions. There's a lot of things that I would call like dialectics, like just the polar opposite kind of things. Like there's going to be people who are anti Elon Musk, pro Elon Musk. You're going to have people who are pro Tate, anti Tate. So moving forward with Eliza, just to pull I guess a Viva Frey here is, this is somebody who, in my opinion, used the threats of lawsuits, possibly, most likely, fake lawsuits, to censor people. And so the strength of this conversation is that we have all these differing opinions coming in and coming out. Nathan might have biases, I might have biases. So when it comes to Ella Irwin inserting this ridiculous new privacy policy, just what I want to seed out there about these different dialectics and about people who have conspiracies or people who have branding issues because they don't want to be associated with conspiracies is how do we encourage all of that different investigative journalism without the claim that we're harassing Eliza? I think it's just something to kind of think about, to sort of simmer and gestate. And it's like, we're here and we're encouraging each other, but we're not saying, I disagree with you, but go make a video about that. Like, how do we do that? How do we say, with all due respect, I disagree with you about Andrew Tate, but I would love to see a video that you have on any, I think that's kind of the type of language that we're going to repeatedly find ourselves in. And I think that should be celebrated, recognized. And that's honestly all I wanted to do. So when you guys were like about to disagree about Andrew Tate, I got excited because I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I wanted to talk about. So that's it. Thank you for hearing me out, and hope you guys have an enjoyable, productive space. See ya.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah, we want people to definitely feel free. I want people to feel free to express themselves and feel like they're not going to get shouted down or called names or anything. And as far as the Andrew Tate thing goes, we were getting a lot of stuff from one perspective. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said anything at all. It was just that we were getting a lot of one perspective, so I thought I'd give another perspective. And that's totally cool. I really respect people with weird opinions, controversial opinions. I've had some extremely controversial opinions before, and I'd like it when people give me a little leeway. So we try to give people leeway here. So let's get through. We got some new speakers. So let me try to get through some people. Go ahead and share this stream out. We haven't gotten any of the people that we're trying to talk to on this stream, but people are interested. I just started out of nowhere and people are here. So go ahead, Grifty, and then I'm going to get through some of these.
Bump me, Nathan. Go ahead and bump me.
I will. Thanks, Jesse. Go ahead, Grifty.
Hey, I just wanted to talk. I actually didn't even realize I'd left my hand up because we definitely have moved way on. But someone earlier was talking about some, like, the kind of the weird Epstein connections, and like there's some stuff there. I have some people looking into some stuff. There's a lot of weirdness around the money with the charity, the one charity she's known to have been worked at that we have on file with Virginia Guffrey, the woman who accused Prince Andrew. The real estate around that charity is really weird. I don't have any definitive answers on that. But the other thing someone had just brought up as far as how to avoid, these new community guidelines. I said this last night. I think it's really important to not necessarily tweet at Eliza or tweet at Ella with just shit posts and memes. Like, if you have genuine questions, like, that's one thing. Ask a question, see if they answer you. But we can share the memes. Don't get it wrong. I love the memes. My whole journey on this thing started over a meme. But I think that's a route they're going to start to take. If they do take any route, it's going to be the spammy behaviors, and obviously keep sharing the hashtags out. Free Defango, free Yellow Flash, free Brittany Venti, free Camelot. We need these people brought back because the censorship is ridiculous. But just kind of be cautious of, go read that thread that she put out about the new terms of service and familiarize yourselves with them. Don't fight a battle that you don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, I try not to antagonize people on Twitter too much because I don't want to get blocked. So I try to be careful what I say, even though sometimes I do troll people. But I don't want to get blocked by people, so I try to keep it easy. But yeah, I don't want to. The whole reason I didn't get into the Eliza, I had Defango on and talked about it, but I didn't make an effort to make videos saying Eliza this and memes and so forth, because that wasn't my intention. And also, I'm a man, she's a woman, and that's why I appreciated it when Brittany Venti said something, because then, you're like, oh, okay, it's cool for, a woman to say something about this where I wouldn't necessarily feel as comfortable. But now it's gotten to the point that her name is trending. I mean, we're not really, at this point, I'm just talking about the news. I'm not targeting her. I'm just talking about what's in the news. So, and I wish her the best, and I still think that if she just reversed herself, that she could save this whole thing, at least to some extent. But it's kind of gone too far. She certainly had the chance to say, "Oh, I fucked up, and I'm sorry," and then move on, and pick a new name and go on with your life. But it kind of keeps getting worse. So let me get to a few of these speakers. I've just been inviting people up who've raised their hand to speak. Go ahead. This simulation is on fire.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'll be brief. Just two things I wanted to mention. The first thing is the interview with Timcast upcoming regarding Shane. I don't know much about Shane at all, but I did see him in an interview the middle of December, about an hour long with Quite Frankly. And he seemed to be a very respectable person with high regards for journalistic integrity and very solid values. And he talked about his 2-day or multi-day expose he did with Kanye after that situation blew up. But then a couple weeks ago, we saw how enamored he was with her on the Timcast IRL show, and that kind of leaves me suspect now. I noticed that the interview was broadcasted last night, but it seems like has been misrepresented, like it was just scheduled to deal with this issue. But from my understanding, that profile of her was scheduled right after she got the show in early January. So I'm not sure people are going to get exactly what they expect. Whereas I don't think this is going to be as much as an interview, but more of a profile of her work. And that's basically... Oh, there's one more thing. Right when I jumped in, I heard somebody mention her father. I live in Illinois. I had voted for him in 2018. He was on the governor's ticket, but not the governor. The governor was running for the Republican primary, was Jeannie Ives, and he was the lieutenant governor candidate, and they lost in the primary. So I had seen something also that she had written about her parent or her family having nothing to do with the governorship, which seemed to be something like lie by omission or more for manipulation in that regard. I just wanted to point that out, and that's all I have to say. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks. Actually, you brought up something that is, I think, totally relevant and actually connects to the way Tim Pool has been presenting his response to this situation, Tim Pool and Cassandra, which is that, oh, they had it planned all along to talk about it, and they were just keeping it secret because they didn't want people to know when, oh, the quartering was booked for our show, so you guys are wrong. You think we weren't talking about it, but we were on top of it. And the quartering got pissed today because he was like, no, we were like, he wasn't booked for the show to talk about this issue. He was booked for the show way in advance to talk about something else. And now you're saying with this Eliza Bleu piece, it makes sense what you're saying, that it was planned in advance, because what she brought up when she tweeted out about it was that it was Trafficking Awareness Month, right? So it sounds like it's an article for Trafficking Awareness Month that would be some kind of profile or puff piece. And yeah, and as far as Shane, I'm getting mixed reports. Some people are saying he did a great report on Kanye. I haven't read it. And so he might be good about Eliza. But I will say, guys, even guys that have great intentions and stuff, they can get fooled by women really easily, especially attractive, charismatic women. Look at the people that fell for Amber Heard and the people that fell for Eliza Bleu, So he could be caught up in her spell. And for people who aren't caught in her spell, like, they don't understand it. They don't get what people see in her. But she obviously has the ability, because of her desires and stuff, to hypnotize people, or to to get in good with people, to charm people. It's probably part of her personality. So the article, it might, now that you're saying it might have been set up in advance, it might have nothing to do with the censorship issue at all. They might totally avoid the question. So I guess we'll find out. Let me get to a few people. Go ahead, Cool Catch, you have your hand up.
Hi, thanks for letting me speak. So I followed the Johnny Depp case for a long time, so I'm always cautious when I deal with Elon, because I know that he was Amber Heard's ex and things like that, and he was funding, I guess, for some part. I mean, I'm grateful that he didn't actually testify at the trial and stuff like that. So but when he took over Twitter, I was like, okay, let's be fair. And for the most part, I've been on his side for when the media was bashing him for firing people. I'm like, oh, that sounds like good business. He, I was really fair. He was talking about free speech, and I'm like, that's awesome. Things like that. So I've been really fair. But when this Eliza thing came up, I'm like, this makes zero sense. It makes me so pissed. Just to see Jeremy and Brittany and Yellow Flash get banned, and now Defango and things like that. And I'm like, this makes no sense. But I think one thing is clear, is that Eliza is loving this. She's loving the association with Elon, and that email that she made, or the tweet she made today, oh, he's a nice guy. It was just so he's so nice. She mentioned it twice in one tweet. It was just so gross. So anyways, it's just been really concerning, because when the media was bashing him for for the fall, I was on Twitter. I was like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not what's happening. But with this Eliza thing, I'm like, it is happening. It's right before our eyes. So, but I don't know. I feel like it's a lot to do with Ella. And I don't know if you can separate Ella and Elon. It seems like she makes her own decisions, but I don't know. But yeah, it just, it's just been really disappointing, this whole thing, and just completely not what we thought we were going to get with the new Twitter. So that's, but
Thanks for that.
yeah.
I'll tell you where I lost faith in Twitter. I lost faith in Twitter when I found out that all the journalists that were releasing the Twitter files were all left-wing historically journalists. I mean, we got Barry Weiss from the New York Times, Matt Taibbi from Rolling Stones. Now who else? They have like 3 others. I believe Barry Weiss got kicked out, but I threw that hope like away a long time ago.
Well, I thought okay, so I covered the Twitter files, and to be fair, Matt Taibbi is, they call him right wing now. I listen to him. He hosts a podcast with a guy that's pretty right wing, and his views are relatively. I mean, he's my favorite journalist, to be honest with you. But I am a little left. I mean, I'm not right wing, but still, I don't know that them not being right wing, because who would he give them to? Like who would he give them to that would be credible? Who, like who you
Jim and Joe.
suggest? Who?
Jim and Joe Hoft.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess so.
Right. I mean,
and
they're right about where I'm at.
Right. All right. Fair enough. Go ahead, Francis. Were you chiming in?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a Spaces noob, so I just wanted to follow up on my comment earlier. I did kind of collected my thoughts on what I mentioned about Epstein and Robert Barnes' thoughts on this whole situation. His take was that the Epstein lawyers were trying to unzip a new space, like Me Too space, Amber Heard space, that kind of thing for litigation. And they have basically captured Eliza. And if you think about it, it follows somewhat well with how she came out, how she, like, one of her first comments was talking about litigation for something the rest of us probably would have thought like what the fuck are you talking about? They posted a screenshot of a video of you. So how does this even make sense? So it was, his thought was, she's kind of in this little bubble with these lawyers, and this is how all of this is coming out to us. Now, as far as Ella Irwin goes, that, like, how do you fire off 5 new rules for Twitter 2.0 that wouldn't have been accepted in Twitter 1.0? Like, it's ridiculous. I don't understand. Like, to me, Ella Irwin, in my opinion, should be the person all this anger and angst should be focused on, because realistically, she might still be employed 3 months from now. We might not even be talking about Eliza in a month or two, because she might just flake out, which I suspect she will do, because she already seems to be doing it.
Oh shit! We got a new grifty, Nick Van Dam's super chat $4.99. Wasn't Ella Irwin having a bad communications with Elon? Why, yes, she was, and apparently she's good friends with none other than old Eliza Bleu. Thank you for your generous patronage, Mr. Nick Van Dam's GRIFTCAST. We love you. Thanks for helping pay the rent.
From Twitter. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Cool. Thanks, Francis. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead, Griffcast. You with us, Griffcast? Your mysterious guest. Go ahead, TRRK.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm here. Sorry, I was just working on something over here. I've just been listening in, and I just wanted to say, fantastic to have all of you guys here. I got to make sure I get that grifting in. So make sure you guys are sharing this out there with your friends. We're still trying to get Jeremy from the quartering and a few other bigger people in here to give our thoughts. I actually made sure to send them a link to the space. Hopefully, we can make it happen, right? So just take the time to make sure that you share this out with your friends, and then definitely go check out Mr. Nathan Sloatman's go buy him a coffee thing, because he's obviously getting pretty thirsty hosting this really long space. So much.
Hey, I was gonna say something based on what you said, but then you got me distracted by talking about coffees. Hold on. Tell me again, what were you talking about so I can remember? Because I was gonna ask you something. GriftCast. Oh, you were talking about promoting the links out to people. Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you about. I asked Gabe Hoffman. You know Gabe Hoffman. That's why I was gonna ask you. I asked him to join this space. So if you know him, you could ping him and say, hey, we'd be interested in hearing what he has to say about it. Because he's, I don't know, the original person who called out Eliza as being a fake survivor. So curious what his opinion is.
All right. Work on
right.
that diligently for
right.
you.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I'll go.
I just wanted to say hello to Nathan and Tony Baloney. I've been lurking in your guys' channel for years. I mean, I'm wrapping up my 3rd year right now. Been watching you guys for about twice as long as that, but it's an honor to be here speaking with you guys. Oh, and by the way, I'm far middle, by the way, Nate.
Far middle. Okay, got it. Cool. Far middle. That's good. Yeah, like you're an extremist, but in the middle. Right?
Kind of more of a comedy show, anyways. I'm a libertarian, so generally everybody hates me. So
yeah. Hey, I know the feeling. I'm mostly, if I take that test that tells you what you are, I come out as mostly libertarian and a little left. But mostly libertarian is how I come out. But people call, but the newspaper, the Daily Beast, they call me far right. Media Matters calls me far right. So whatever I say, that's how they're going to depict me. But I'm on the left of certain issues, and then I just anyway. Go ahead, TRRK. You've had your hand up for a while.
Oh yes, thank you for having me on again. I wanted to go back to her Eliza's bit of a Twitter outburst last night. I think it was around 2:30 a.m. Eastern time. I ended up doing a video on it initially for posterity, in case she went back and deleted the tweets, because it was quite the series of weird messages. And as I was doing the recording, my friend in here, Sumo Orange, had pointed out it was like a lot of I's and me's, but avoiding things like the suspensions and that. And then I also noticed, and I don't know if this was mentioned before, I got to listen in. Phil Labonte had said something, I think, about, Shane's going to talk to her. You wanted the story, da-da-da-da-da. And then Eliza comes back and retweets that with, "Are you not entertained?" And that rubbed me the wrong way, because I'm like, what you're doing. You can't say, "Hey, I was working and, da-da-da-da-da," but what you're doing. That it's spreading you out there. Now, another reason I wanted to bring up the video that I had made as I've been listening in, this video is kind of blown up for me. It's over 7,000 views, which I never thought I would do. Like I mentioned last night, I'm an extremely small content provider, but the reason I'm bringing up that it's blown up for me is because there's also been a lot of comments, and yes, some of them unfortunately are ugly comments about Eliza, which is not where I wanted to go. I'm hoping that people will see that there are a lot of people that are genuinely happy that it's getting traction. Like Manuel himself commented something to that degree on one of my videos, and that a lot of people are hoping that it's going to bring positive light, with the trafficking and that. They're hoping that, it's not just slam Eliza, which is what I agree with. I'm not necessarily here to tear her down. Yes, I don't agree with her getting people banned. But if she is genuinely taking advantage of people, that I also have a problem with, and then it also comes to, did this stuff really happen to her, or is that part of her grift? And that's all I really wanted to talk about. It was a lot of I, me avoidance, but at the same time, are you not entertained by this?
Yeah, I guess you wonder what her attitude is about this whole thing. Like, is it all just a game, or does she think it's funny if she's saying, "Are you entertained?" It's implying that she thinks the whole thing is just a joke, that she's just messing with people. And so, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I just wanted to do this as a courtesy because I know that I've been a part of the spaces for the past couple of days. I've got to hit the Ricky Road, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me up on here. I'll probably be available tomorrow afternoon. So, I mean, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, because I've been following and digging up on Eliza and her background and all that stuff. So I know there may be some folks that may have some questions about something or maybe ambiguity. Feel free to, send me a message here on Twitter. If I get too many of them, then I'll just briefly open a space tomorrow afternoon that I'll run. And Nathan, I'll invite you if you're available to address, like, if I get a shitload of questions. Sound good?
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thanks for all your help. You've been great. So, yeah, I am worried that, like, my wife has COVID and she's really sick, and I'm worried that I'm about to be too. And I've been doing the space, and I think I have to do my YouTube show at 5, so I'm gonna tune out for that. But I did want to see, who was still talking about this. I wanted to see, of course, if we get the attention of people who are central to the story. It looks like we didn't with this stream so far today, but we can keep going. I might
Wait,
need
real,
to
real
go
quick,
ahead.
Nick. Nathan, I'm sorry. Have you ever had COVID before?
No. Mm-mm.
So I have. I mean, symptoms are very light for me. I oddly have had it 3 or 4 times. I don't know why. I don't go anywhere. All I do is work. I'm home all the time. But the symptoms are generally random fatigue, random nausea, loss of taste, loss of smell. And yeah, it's weird. Like, one minute you're fine, 1 minute you're tired, 1 minute you're fine, 1 minute you're nauseous, 1 minute you're fine, 1 minute you want to go to sleep. And I never ever take naps. And I mean, we'll call it Ivan Drago. Starts with an IV. But if you search up Ivan Drago online and look up for a website called Push Health, PUSH Health, that's where I went to get it. They I don't know, they have a literal page where you can request specifically for it. You do like an online appointment. It's $69 for that appointment, and then they'll actually transfer your script to a pharmacy that they have already verified would be willing to fulfill a script for Ivan Drago. And It worked for me. So the first 2 times I got it, first time it took 4 weeks to get over. Second time took 3 weeks. The third time, that was the time that I actually took Ivan Drago, and I got over it in 5 days.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'm starting to fade a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I see a few people requested, but what I'm going to do is tune out of this space, and I'm going to get ready. I do a show on YouTube. You can follow me there. I'm Lift the Veil. You can find the link in the description on my page. I'll do my live video show there. DeFango might come on. I'll ask him. Hey, GRIFTCAST, do you think DeFango might want to join?
I think that he might be able to get in there. I'll see what I can pull for sure.
All right. So maybe DeFango will be on. So we'll do our show. That's you can find the link in the description for my thing here on Twitter. And I'll see you guys there. For people who haven't seen me on YouTube before, I've actually just been hosting these spaces for the last 3 days and not doing any content on my YouTube channel. So I'm curious, TRRK, what was the name of your video that started trending?
Oh, sorry, I was just checking some things on that. Let me flip back over. I honestly don't recall what I called it. I just put it as Eliza Bleu Twitter meltdown because that's what it really came across as.
Somebody shared that video with me. I watched that video yesterday. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then I shared a link in the chat just in case anyone wanted to see the comments.
Yeah, it's a trending topic. Yeah, it's really weird. Like, I think actually the people who listen to my show normally actually mostly don't know who Eliza Bleu is. So I was thinking about them when I was making content. I was like, well, I don't think anybody who normally listens to my show cares about this woman one bit or has ever even heard of her. But obviously it's a big deal and it's a topic I was interested in enough to have Defango on earlier. So anyway, I really appreciate everybody coming in. If you want to if you want to send me a coffee or something, there's a link for that on my profile. Just go to the buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. You can drop a coffee and leave a note and I'll read it. And I'll see you on YouTube. Lift the Veil on YouTube. You can find the link on my thing. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everybody showing up and participating. See ya.
Wow, folks. Wow. The Twitter files, the Eliza Bleu files, that was an interesting space. Interesting face. Your boy GRIFTCAST was here. Yes, he was. He was here, ready to go, ready to investigate the files. Like, I mean, I guess they didn't really go through very many files on that one, from what I see, but that's okay. You know, that's not exactly what was supposed to be happening, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. You know, I just work here or whatever. But, you know, this seems to be good. I figured that they would have covered more of that, but it looks like I might be going on to the Lift the Veil show over on Nathan Sloatman's channel since, you know, all of a sudden we're working together or whatever. Super weird. But, you know, it seems to be a good fit, right? You know, Nathan has a lot of really crazy opinions and I'm a little more centered in that space, but you know, I guess it'll be interesting to kind of talk to him to see how everything's going and, you know, go through that. So, you know, we obviously got to put it out to our grifters out there, our grifters, you know, our griftees really, dude. Seriously, we have top griftees and I got to go through the top griftees now. That's right. We're going to go through them top griftees. And we call them griftees is because they're basically the people that we grift off of to make the rent. And, you know, first off, there was Mr. Richard Hughes in with the $20 Great British Pounds. I don't even know how much that is, but it seems to be the biggest donation. So you, sir, today are the top griftee, but it's not like there wasn't any other people out there that were trying to vie for that title. I mean, we did have Mr. Grifty with the $5 through Super Chat saying, love you, brother, miss you out there in the trenches and free to Fango. And I'm just like, yeah, free to Fango. But for now, GriftCast is what we're doing. And then we have Miss Red Badger with a $5 super chat that also said, free Sir Manny of the Puzzle, free to Fango. Yes. And not to forget our good friend Nick Vandems, whatever. $4.99 through super chat. Didn't want to go for the full $5. I don't know what that's all about, but he says, wasn't even having bad communications with Elon Musk? And yeah, the answer to that question was that's a correct mundo. That is a correct mundo. And if you want to check our links, like CV says in the chat, you could check our stuff out at Linktree's thing, linkter.e/GriftCast. That's right. You know, you should be able to find us everywhere on GriftCast if you want to get into that gang of stuff. You could also just find the links here. You know, make sure you follow our crap because this is GriftCast and, you know, we're here to do this to make money and stuff like that. There's their Linktree gift again. If you guys like coffee, make sure to check out Coffee Brand Coffee and use our code GriftCast to save 5% or so off of your order, which is really, really great. Really great. Really great. Really great. And if you're looking to donate to us through Cash App, I wasted one of my last name changes on that to change it over to GRIFTCAST. So you're very welcome. I know you're going to have some good time sending money out to that one for sure. And then obviously you can't change your name on PayPal. So if you want to hit some PayPal, obviously it's paypal.me/Defango. Yes, I know you guys really want to start throwing that money at me like people, like girls be throwing them panties and stuff, because that's how we're running this show now. If you want the goods, it's going to be a grift for all time. All time. But anyways, I should take a little bit of a second, get some food together, hang out with my luncheonator. And honestly, I kind of like doing these little Twitter space streams because I can just kick back on the bed and talk through the phone, and then everything else is happening. So we're trying to not get banned so fast this time, but who knows how long that's going to take. We're just going to have to hopefully stay under the radar for long enough to just keep on keeping on. Yeah, keep on keeping on. That's right. Yeah, and CV, you might not have used the code, but if you did buy something or whatever and you clicked on the link, it still seems to have worked because somebody already went through. We already grifted some money off of that whole coffee brand coffee situation. I'm down. According to the links right here, according to my referral notes or whatever, because I can check yo asses. One of y'all motherfuckers did some shit. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, I'll just show you. Why not? Yeah, I'll show you. Coffee brand coffee. Here we go. This is directly from the Coffee Brand Coffee website right here. And you can see that. Oh, wait. Maybe like that. Yeah, I guess maybe you'll be able to see it like that. But you can see we've had 4 referrals so far with one order with the 25% conversion rate where someone bought $121 worth of fucking coffee. We made $5.61. Isn't that fucking crazy? That is some crazy ass shit right there. So if you would like to be added to our analytical nature for the GriftCast grifting empire, please make sure that if you drink coffee, you go buy Coffee Brand Coffee. That's, just so happens to be a YouTube owned, American owned business that our good buddy Jeremy from the Quartering seems to be running. Yep, that's right. That's 2 coffee bags. What, dude? What's he saying right there? $121. That's like 2 bags of coffee. So maybe it was that guy that bought the coffee. I don't know. Nobody will ever know who's that rich. But yeah, you know what? I'm definitely getting in. I told you guys we're changing it up. I was like, hey, if I can't be me, I'm gonna be the grifted version of me, and you're gonna fucking either like it or you're gonna hate it, but it's gonna be funny the entire time. The entire time. Yep, that's right. The entire time. And you know why? Do you know why? Because it's fucking Defango, bro. But now, alas, it is time to end the show. So hopefully you guys are ready for the end times now, because it's coming up fast, folks. It's coming up fast. So sunset real low. We're going to be grifting away. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe or whatever. If you can't do coffee, that's fine. They also have teas and other types of drinks that you could enjoy. And we're going to be looking for more sponsors for the show so that we can increase the amount of monies that we have in our bank's accounts, because we need to be rich. So anyways, much love to you. Thank you for joining us today. And pretty much that's it. So like, if you don't like it, it's whatever, dog. It's whatever. Actually, I don't like that music. I want that music. Bye.